The story opens to the bleak ruins of a desolate city. A young man with tired, dull eyes looks around as dense dust obscures the sky. My name is Cao Xiao Liang. I was just an ordinary college student, but because my roommate unplugged my charger, my alarm didn't go off. While rushing to school at 8 in the morning, I got into a traffic accident and was hit by a car, sent flying 800 meters. He looked ahead with despair, and when he woke up, bewildered, the entire world had changed. He had transmigrated into a dangerous, apocalyptic world. Before him now was a chaotic scene. A group of people were struggling to fight a giant octopus, its tentacles flailing like the arms of death. A blond man leaped high into the air, his sword flashing, slicing clean off a writhing tentacle. Everyone thought victory was assured, but unexpectedly, where the tentacle was severed, a new one grew back in the blink of an eye. Someone in the group shouted in panic, "This is bad. This monster can regenerate. What do we do?" Cao Xiao Liang stood at a distance, silently observing the horrifying scene, his heart as heavy as a stone. At first, he thought he was favored by fate, chosen to bear the brilliant aura of a novel's protagonist, destined to roam freely and perform miracles. But soon, he realized things weren't as simple as he had imagined. He began to sink into the painful memories of his failures. The first time, I led the survivors out of a zombie encirclement but ended up getting bitten and dying. When I opened my eyes, I had returned to the starting point. The second time, using my experience from the previous life, I helped everyone avoid the zombies, but we starved to death from a lack of food. The third time, I disguised myself as someone bitten by a zombie to search for food, but was shot in the head by the military. The fourth time, I finally awakened an ability and built a base, but I was betrayed by a trusted brother, leading to a tragic death. Then the fifth time, the sixth, and every time he died, he returned to the first day he transmigrated to this world. This was already the ninth time. His hope had run out, and all that remained was resignation. But fate wouldn't leave him be. He was forced to enlist, becoming a frontline soldier in this fierce war. The situation before him was extremely tense, the giant octopus's tentacles twisting like demonic snakes, ready to claim anyone's life. The group was gradually becoming exhausted and couldn't hold on any longer. Those with any strength left ran for their lives. But what about Xiao Ya and the food supplies? The people in the safe base are waiting for every last scrap of food to survive. We can't hesitate any longer. If we don't run, we'll all die here. Xiao Ya was wrapped tightly by a huge tentacle, unable to escape. She could only scream and cry, "Save me, don't leave me here." The octopus lifted her high, preparing to devour her. Xiao Ya let out a piercing, desperate scream. Cao Xiao Liang watched from below, a reckless feeling rising in his heart. Like if a vase is already broken, another crack doesn't matter. He thought to himself, if I can't escape this damn world, then at least this time before I die, I want to do something worthwhile. He let out a long shout, his body charging towards the giant monster like a bolt of lightning. The fleeing group turned their heads, stunned in amazement. What is that kid doing? Is he trying to get himself killed? Is he crazy? That's just suicide. But Cao Xiao Liang paid no mind to their whispers. He swung his sword, his eyes burning with determination, and sliced the tentacle in two. Xiao Ya was freed, falling to the ground with a thud. She trembled and said emotionally, "Thank you for saving me. You're so brave." Cao Xiao Liang had no time for her. He just coldly replied, "Get out," and immediately dashed off, leaving Xiao Ya sitting there stunned. His target was the convenience store behind the giant monster. Bursting inside, he was surprised by the strange silence. Precious goods were still intact on the shelves, like a treasure on the edge of life and death. Without hesitation, Cao Xiao Liang began to raid the place, from hamburgers to potato chips, devouring everything greedily, as if he'd forgotten the world. Then he picked up a bottle of soda, unable to contain his joy. "I can finally have a drink." He took a sip of the Coke, the refreshing feeling like being reborn. Outside, the octopus was enraged at losing its prey. It growled, its eyes glowing red, locking onto the person standing inside the convenience store. Cao Xiao Liang was preoccupied with his drink, completely unaware of the giant shadow silently approaching. A huge tentacle swayed behind him, ready to deliver a fatal blow. He let out a carefree sigh and smiled. No more regrets. Just as expected, a second later, his vision turned blood red, but then his eyes opened again. He was still lying in the convenience store, just as he was before he died. He looked around, exclaiming in surprise, "Why am I still in the same place? Didn't I return to the starting point?" He frantically felt all over his body, wondering, could it be I'm not dead? Suddenly, a mechanical voice echoed from the void. "No, you died, but you're alive again." Cao Xiao Liang was startled. "Who's talking?" The system replied, "Congratulations, host, for activating the system. I am your unbonded system. Serial number 233. A ball of light gradually appeared before him, and Cao Xiao Liang stammered, "A system?" Then he rushed forward and hugged it tightly, tears and snot streaming down his face. "Why did you only show up now? I've been waiting for ages." Do you have any idea how tragically I've died? He bawled his eyes out while rubbing his face on the sphere. Give me a reasonable explanation, or I'm filing a complaint against you. The system couldn't stand it and shot up into the air. It replied meekly, Host, please calm down. The reason I was late is because, there was a small incident. He pressed, What happened? The system avoided the question, looking away, and said, You might not believe this, but my system roommate stole my charging cable, so my alarm didn't go off. The corner of Cao Xiao Liang's mouth twitched, and he scratched his head, replying, No, I believe you. There's no point in dwelling on it now. He immediately changed the subject. All right, better late than never. Did you bring all the golden finger cheat items? The system replied confidently. Of course. It held out a scroll, on which was a map and some text. It said, But as per procedure, please allow me to read the mission to you. You are currently in an apocalyptic world, and the host's mission is to save this world and help it restore peace. As long as you complete the mission, you will be resurrected in the real world. If you fail, you will be completely erased. After explaining, it rolled up the scroll. You have a total of 10 chances, and you've already wasted 9 of them. This is your last one. Cao Xiao Liang couldn't help but shout, I'm the one who wasted them? The system gave an awkward laugh. Don't worry about those minor details. Since we don't have much time left, we must make the most of every precious moment. As soon as the system finished speaking, the space around them immediately distorted, twisting as if manipulated by an invisible hand, forming a shimmering portal of light. Brave boy, get ready to receive your first mission. In the blink of an eye, Cao Xiao Liang appeared on a desolate street, where the buildings were dilapidated and ruined, as if they had just endured an apocalyptic storm. The system's mechanical voice rang out again. Today's first mission is to sell snacks to earn 50 crystals. You will receive accumulation points to exchange for attributes, storage space, and many other attractive rewards. Witnessing this scene, Cao Xiaoliang was so angry, he gritted his teeth. He shot up and yelled, What kind of savior has to be a street vendor? His shout echoed, attracting the attention of the zombies lurking nearby. They all turned their heads in unison, their cloudy eyes fixed straight on him. One of them was even gnawing on something that looked like the remains of a gruesome meal. Terrified by the horde of zombies about to charge, Cao Xiaoliang was speechless. And another thing, did you pick this spot so they could treat me like a snack? His scream seemed to rip through the blue sky, but he had no time to think about business, only to run for his life, fleeing desperately to save himself. Cao Xiaoliang sprinted frantically, trying to escape the zombies. The system asked blankly, Host, why are you running? He yelled back, What a stupid question. If I don't run, should I just wait to get bitten? But as soon as he said that, he suddenly stopped, as if he had remembered something important. His eyes lit up, and he said excitedly, That's right, I have a system now. Why should I be afraid of these losers? He stood tall with his hands on his hips and shouted, Number 2. The system immediately responded in an annoyed tone. Please call me number 2, 3, 3. Cao Xiaoliang gave a dangerous, slightly smug smile, clenching his fists. All right then. Number 2. What's my superpower? The agility of a leopard, the speed of an eagle, the strength of a bear. Show me what you've got. A status window suddenly appeared before his eyes, displaying his name, Cao Xiao Liang. Strength, unrated. Speed, unrated. Perception, unrated. Intelligence, 2. Storage space, locked. Stall area, 2 square meters. A long list of stats all showed the same 3 words, unrated. Cao Xiaoliang pondered, muttering, What does unrated mean? The system casually replied, It means the value is too low to meet the minimum rating standard. Currently, your physical attributes are still at their initial state. If you want to improve them, you need to earn accumulation points to exchange. He frowned. So, to sum it up, the only thing on my body that's remotely usable is my brain? Before he could think any further, a zombie suddenly lunged at him. He screamed in panic and started running for his life again. As he ran, he yelled at the system, You liar! Didn't you say there was a support plug-in? The system flew behind him and replied with a frown, I already gave you the support plug-in. There was once a stall right before your eyes, but you didn't cherish it. Now that it's gone, you regret it. Cao Xiaoliang was stunned. Are you talking about that tattered piece of cloth? The system said irritably. What tattered cloth? That's your upgrade item. Hearing that, he immediately turned around and sprinted back the way he came. Why didn't you say so earlier? He bent down and quickly picked up a rusty iron bar from the side of the road, intending to face the approaching zombies head-on. Without hesitation, Cao Xiaoliang swung the iron bar, smashing it hard against the nearest zombie's head. The closer he got to the cloth, the more ferociously he fought. Suddenly, a zombie charged, aiming straight for his thigh. He was knocked down, tumbling several times before finally landing right on top of the cloth. The zombies didn't miss the opportunity and swarmed him all at once. Facing this desperate situation, Cao Xiaoliang gave a bitter smile, not expecting to die so quickly. In terms of speed, He was definitely breaking a record. His hand trembled as he clenched it, his voice filled with sorrow. I don't even have an appetite for snacks anymore. I guess this is really the end. But just as he thought the pain from a bite was about to hit, a brilliant halo of light suddenly erupted. The zombies that touched the light instantly froze, ceasing their attack. To his astonishment, they turned and walked away one by one, as if he were invisible to them. Cao Xiao Liang shouted in amazement, "What's going on? Did those zombies go blind?" The system sighed, helpless at his slow uptake. "I told you it was a golden finger. Did you really think it was just a piece of cloth?" He excitedly picked up the cloth to examine it. "So this is what protected me." He couldn't help but hug it tightly. "My precious treasure is like my very own divine weapon and armor." Suddenly, he remembered something and turned to ask the system, "Oh, right. Does this function only work on zombies? What if I encounter other mutated creatures?" The system replied, "This item can block all forms of attack, as long as you are within the stall's range. Nothing from the outside will be able to harm you." Cao Xiaoliang's eyes flew open as he joyfully leaped to his feet, humming and dancing in his mind. He thought to himself, with this stall in hand, "I'm invincible." The system immediately cut his daydream short. "Don't get too excited. The stall item's barrier function can only be used 3 times a day, and if the mission isn't completed within the time limit, the function will be disabled. You have half an hour until sunset." It continued. "Zombies become more active after dark. Please hurry, host." Cao Xiaoliang sighed. "This area was just cleared out by zombies. There's nobody here. Who do you expect me to make my first sale to?" Suddenly, a voice drifted over from the distance. "We really lucked out today, scoring so much loot." 3 men, who appeared to be from the same group, casually strolled over. The man in the lead said, "I didn't expect this extra haul. The boss is in for a surprise." The guy beside him added, "If the boss is happy, he'll definitely reward us." Cao Xiaoliang was secretly thrilled. "The heavens are on my side." As the 3 men noticed him, he quickly arranged his items on a cloth, looking every bit the professional vendor. The 3 men asked curiously, "What is that?" They scanned the items on his stall. "Aren't these fruit candies? What's this stuff doing out here?" He answered with a radiant smile. "This little shop has more than just fruit candies. We also have potato chips, shrimp crackers, and soda. Would you gentlemen like to buy anything?" The 3 men exclaimed as if they'd discovered treasure. "They're really potato chips, and there's even beef jerky. I haven't had a soda in 3 years. I almost forgot what it tastes like." Cao Xiaoliang chimed in. "Gentlemen, since it's my first day in business, and fate has brought you here, it's not 998, not even 98. For just 50 cores, you can take all these snacks home. How about it? It's a steal, right?" The 3 men suddenly went dead silent, glancing at each other before bursting into laughter. "This punk actually wants us to pay. What a moron." The masked man picked up a bottle of Coke, a gun held firmly in his other hand, and said in a low voice, "I'm in a good mood today, so leave your stuff and get lost, or I'll give you a taste of this hot lead." Cao Xiaoliang frowned at them, then suddenly lunged forward and snatched the Coke bottle back, muttering, "I thought I'd found my saviors, but you're just a waste of time." The masked man instantly raised his gun and aimed it straight at Cao Xiaoliang, his killing intent radiating like a sharp blade. "You're asking for it, kid." A deafening shot rang out, but at that exact moment, Cao Xiaoliang's invisible barrier activated. Not only did the bullet fail to hit him, but the gun exploded right in the man's hand. The blast stunned the masked man, sending him flying several meters before he landed unconscious. His companions panicked, their eyes wide with shock. What happened? Why did the gun misfire? Is this kid a user with superpowers? The other one shook his head, his voice trembling. "That's impossible. I've never heard of such a weird ability." Cao Xiaoliang paid no mind to their chatter, happily leaning down and pressing his face against the cloth, cooing over it. "This is awesome. My treasure can even reflect bullets." The remaining 2 thugs stared at his foolish display and couldn't help but whisper, "He really is just an idiot." One of them spoke up, his voice full of suspicion. "Hey, who the hell are you? What kind of trick is this?" Cao Xiaoliang replied in a dramatic tone, "You fools. In this world, there are countless people with powers, but there is only one chosen one." He rubbed his hands together with a sly grin. "So, for the low price of 50 cores, you can take home a pile of snacks and even get a free photo and autograph. Are you sure you don't want to reconsider?" Feeling mocked, the 2 thugs roared in anger. "The chosen one? Do you think we're 3-year-old kids? That gun must have been defective. Now watch me blow you away." Seeing how stubborn they were, Cao Xiaoliang sighed in resignation. "You really don't listen, do you? You're just asking for trouble." One of the men threw a punch that seemed to burst with flames, but as expected, it was stopped by the invisible barrier. The force of the impact sent him reeling back, clutching his hand and screaming in agony, "Ugh, my hand!" Seeing the pathetic state of his 2 companions, the last man, a blonde, began to hesitate, his feet frozen in place. Seeing him waver, the other two yelled, "What are you standing there for? Kill him!" Cao Xiao Liang said nothing, simply staring silently at the blonde man. His gaze was as sharp as a blade, causing the man to tremble in fear. He raised his hand, blue electricity crackling in his palm, and shouted, "Hey!" The blonde man flinched, took a step back, then turned and fled as fast as he could. "This kid's a monster. I don't want to die." His two companions were stunned by his cowardice and roared in anger. "Don't leave us behind, you gutless traitor." Then, without another word, they also scrambled to their feet and ran for their lives. Cao Xiaoliang called after them, "Hey, don't run! I just want to ask if there are any other people around here." Suddenly, he spotted a strange object, a burlap sack lying on the ground, clearly left behind by the three thugs. He wondered, "What's this?" The top of the sack suddenly twitched, and he yelped in surprise, "It's moving!" Unable to restrain his curiosity, he poked the sack a few times. Is it some kind of animal? With that thought, he carefully untied the drawstring. A living being immediately leaped out of the bag. He stared, stunned to realize it was a woman. She had glistening silver hair that looked like a waterfall shimmering in the golden sunset. Her seductive curves, slender waist, and full bust gave her an enchanting beauty. She turned her head, her gaze locking with his. Cao Xiaoliang was mesmerized and blurted out, "So beautiful." But in the next instant, the silver-haired woman's eyes widened, her pupils flashing with a crazed light. She lunged at him like an arrow shot from a bow. Cao Xiaoliang panicked and turned to flee. "This is no time to be checking out a hot girl," she shrieked, her voice distorted, clearly a zombie. Her hand slammed down where he had just been standing, creating a terrifying shockwave that shook the ground. He quickly leaned aside, narrowly dodging it. Terrified, he looked up at the monster and exclaimed, "What the hell? How can a zombie be this fast?" In his panic, his hand accidentally touched a black object on the ground. Without a second thought, he threw it hard at her. The silver-haired woman raised her hand to block it, and the tense chase continued. Drawing from his previous experience, Cao Xiaoliang ran straight for his stall, hastily grabbing his precious treasure cloth. He quickly packed up his goods, cursing as he worked. "Damn it, I've already used up all 3 chances. I should have saved one. If I get caught now, I'm screwed." He was about to flee again, but when he looked up, the silver-haired woman flew right over his head, landing softly in front of him. Startled, he fell backward, scattering food all over the ground. The silver-haired woman glared, energy gathering in her hand as she prepared to deliver the final blow. Facing this irresistible power, Cao Xiaoliang could only scream in desperation, "Don't come any closer!" Despite his fear, he kept grabbing the fallen food boxes around him and throwing them at her. As expected, this only made her angrier. He didn't give up, picking up another bag of food, throwing it straight ahead without looking before closing his eyes to await his fate. But after a moment, nothing happened. He timidly peeked open his eyes, stunned to see the silver-haired woman happily chewing on some dried squid. She swallowed with a gulp, a look of satisfaction on her face as if she'd just enjoyed a gourmet meal. Cao Xiao Liang was astonished. This zombie likes to eat dried squid? After finishing, she crawled towards him, her eyes sparkling, and drool dripped from the corner of her mouth, clearly wanting more. He frantically fumbled on the ground, screaming internally, "Crap, I'm out of dried squid. What do I do now?" His mind raced, and he muttered, "I wonder if she'll eat other things." He clumsily picked up a bag of snacks, tore it open, and threw a piece forward. She immediately snatched it out of the air, chewing and swallowing with a satisfied look. He breathed a sigh of relief, thank goodness. While tossing the snacks, he slowly backed away until he reached a deep chasm. Below, a strange red glow emanated from a river of molten lava. Without hesitation, he threw the bag of snacks into the chasm. The silver-haired woman immediately dove after it without a second thought. Standing high above, Cao Xiaoliang wiped the sweat from his brow and sighed in relief. "I'm saved. Once you're done with those snacks, you can't eat me." As he was about to leave, he suddenly noticed a glowing object on the ground. He picked it up and examined it closely. "This dagger is a high-grade item." Then he gasped, "This is..." On the dagger's hilt was an engraving of a golden gear. He immediately recognized it as the mark of the Thunderclap Legion, the most notorious bandit group in the post-apocalyptic world. I remember their leader isn't evolved, possessing immense power. Their underlings are all reckless thugs who use their numbers to pillage and plunder, so brazen they even disregard the military. Thinking of this, Cao Xiaoliang broke out in a cold sweat. Were those 3 guys from their group? No wonder they were carrying so many ammo clips. He put the dagger away and bent down to pick up the sack that had held the silver-haired woman. "This bag isn't bad. It's pretty sturdy. I'll keep it. Might be useful later." While picking it up, he accidentally opened the sack and discovered another smaller bag inside. "Curious," he muttered. "What's this? Let's see." He was stunned to find the bag filled with sparkling monster cores. "Talk about a lucky break," he exclaimed excitedly. "These are monster cores! So many, there are 50 of them." He clutched the bag like a treasure, overwhelmed by this sudden happiness. I can't believe I completed the quest this quickly. The system suddenly appeared to rain on his parade. You found these cores. They weren't obtained through sales, so they don't count towards your stall's income. Cao Xiao Liang immediately retorted, Why not? Let me ask you, didn't that female zombie just eat my dried squid and beef jerky? And didn't she leave these cores behind? The system, encountering this situation for the first time, stammered, unsure how to respond. Even though she was a zombie, Cao Xiao Liang didn't care and continued to argue, You never said the customer had to be human. With such a narrow mindset, how can you ever grow and achieve great success? Seeing the system remain silent, he threw himself on the ground and pretended to cry. Besides, it's already dark. I can't find anyone else. If you're going to break your promise and kill me, then just do it. The system was at a loss, cursing under its breath. Damn it, he exploited a loophole. Then it announced in a loud voice, Congratulations, host, for completing the quest. Reward points received, space opened, stall upgraded. A magnificent cart appeared before his eyes, grand and impressive, a far cry from his original ragged cloth. All the equipment on the cart was clean and orderly. Cao Xiao Liang stared at it, dazed for a long time. When he came to his senses, he opened the notification panel to check. This must be the legendary storage space, but there are only 4 items inside: rice, meat, and vegetables. He turned to the system and asked, Is this all? I've seen other people's storage spaces filled with all kinds of medicine, weapons, even airplanes and cannons. The system replied disdainfully, We are a stall system, not an armory. You haven't even left the starter village, and you're already asking for the moon? Cao Xiao Liang muttered, I'm stuck. He switched topics. What can these reward points be exchanged for? The system replied, The item catalog and attribute points. However, with your current points, your space usage rights are at the minimum level, so these are the only things you can exchange for. A screen displayed the information. Current points, 21. Toothbrush, 300 points. Bowls, 450 points. Soap, 200 points. Scissors, 250 points. Points. Liu Cao scratched his head and sighed. This is pretty makeshift, huh? He continued gloomily. Even though the stall can block attacks, I only get 3 chances a day, and I can't just hide in it for 24 hours. Right now, the most important thing is to improve my ability to protect myself. Without hesitation, he said to the system, Hey system, convert all my points into strength points. The system cheerfully accepted the order. Roger that. Host, +1 strength point. Conversion complete. The man and the system stared at each other, waiting for the results. But after a long wait, nothing changed, and Liu Cao was disappointed to see no difference at all. The system made no comment, only announcing a new mission. Obtain 100 cores and hire an attendant within 24 hours. Liu Cao's face fell when he heard it. 100 cores was a lot, and what the heck was an attendant? Do I have to share a stall this small with someone else? Just then, a gust of wind blew a flyer straight into his face. On it was a picture of a waitress in a maid outfit with the caption, Welcome, valued customer. He looked at the paper and mumbled, This is from the boba shop across the street. Memories came flooding back. I remember this girl used to come to campus to hand out flyers, and even offered me a free sample. The memory left him feeling nostalgic, wondering how she was doing now, and if she was even still alive. But his serious mood didn't last long as his imagination ran wild. He started daydreaming about a beautiful blonde girl, wearing a maid outfit and calling him boss. The image got him so fired up it was like an energy boost. He pushed his cart with a new spring in his step, feeling instantly motivated. The scene shifts to a lava-filled chasm, where a dark figure suddenly leaps into the air. It was the silver-haired woman he had tricked into jumping down earlier. She glanced around before slowly getting to her feet, her face etched with a sad, pensive expression. Then she ran off in a certain direction for some unknown reason. By dawn, Liu Cao, who had been pushing his cart all night, finally stopped in front of a ruined store. He cautiously poked his head inside and called out softly, Anyone here? 4 zombies heard the sound and slowly tilted their stiff necks to look at him. Seeing the bad situation, he quickly slammed the door shut, saying politely, Pardon the intrusion. Then, without another word, he turned and ran for his life. Weren't these the same zombies he'd met yesterday? Why were they so relentlessly chasing him? The system replied in a monotone voice, They were here first. You're the one who's haunting them. The zombies, with their gaping maws, gave chase frantically. One with incredible jumping power leaped and lunged straight for the cart. As expected, it was sent flying several feet back by the defensive shield, but Liu Cao wasn't happy at all. He yelled in frustration, The block function can only be used 3 times a day. I can't waste one like that. With that, he scrambled to push the cart and escape. In a spot he didn't see, the zombie that had just been sent flying began to mutate bizarrely. It let out a horrifying roar, its body contorting into an unnatural pose before it started crawling towards him at a terrifying speed, its mouth aiming for his heel. Liu Cao noticed just in time and swiftly dodged the zombie's bite. He cursed angrily, "You damn thing, trying a sneak attack on me?" As he spoke, he landed a powerful kick to its face. The zombie went flying through the air, crashing straight into a roadside vending machine. The loud noise made the other zombies pause. The vending machine toppled over with a crash, crushing the zombies that couldn't dodge in time. Liu Cao was stunned by the sight. "Did I do that?" "One kick and its head caved in," he exclaimed excitedly, realizing the strength enhancement was real. The system spoke up. "Congratulations, host, on successfully eliminating your first zombie. Reward, newbie gift package, containing a single-use raincoat." Liu Cao examined the item, muttering, "Isn't this just a piece of plastic? What good is it?" The system explained, "Do not underestimate this raincoat. It's made from a high-tech material that is not only waterproof and insulating, but also blocks all harmful substances. Wearing it, you could swim in radioactive water without a worry, but it's only good for one use." Liu Cao was skeptical. Is it really that incredible? Suddenly, the sound of countless rushing footsteps echoed as a horde of zombies approached. Startled, he looked around and saw zombies everywhere. Exclaiming in panic, "How are there so many of them?" He thought to himself, "This is bad. The noise must have attracted them all." Despair washed over him. It was a dead end, with no escape route. Just then, a soft voice called out from behind him, "Over here!" It was a girl in a maid outfit, hiding behind a door. She waved her hand. "Quick, get over here!" Liu Cao looked down and saw the zombies pinned under the vending machine, squirming their way out. In front of him, the dense horde was ready to charge at any moment. Without hesitating, he pulled his cart and rushed over to the girl. The door slammed shut quickly, blocking the horde of zombies outside. He panted, "Thank you so much. If it weren't for you just now, I would have been a goner." But when he got a closer look, he exclaimed in shock, "It's you!" The girl looked puzzled. "You know me?" Meeting an acquaintance in these chaotic times made him ecstatic. "I'm a student from A University. You used to come to my campus to promote boba tea and even gave me a free sample. Don't you remember me?" The girl smiled brightly. "Of course, I remember. I even remember you were amazing at basketball and especially loved peach-flavored bubble tea." But inwardly, she thought differently. He's not exactly a heartthrob, just an average-looking guy. There were tons of guys like him in college. How could I possibly remember him? Liu Cao, oblivious to her lie, naively replied, "But I was on the soccer team, and I don't even like peaches." The girl quickly shut her mouth, then nudged his shoulder to change the subject. "That's not important. Anyway, it's just so good to see you again." Liu Cao immediately forgot about the discrepancy, his only thought being, "So soft." After they talked for a bit, he finally remembered to ask, "Oh, right, I never got your name," she replied. "I'm Ivy Chin," he introduced himself. "I'm Liu Cao." Ivy Chin gave him a sweet smile and called out, "Leo." Her voice moved him so much that he turned his back and started sobbing. This was the first time in his life a girl had ever called him Big Brother, and a beautiful one at that. He was just so happy. Ai Chin was speechless. What on earth was he crying about? Suddenly, a noise rang out, and Cao Xiao Liang whipped his head around warily, yelling, "Who's there?" He walked over to pick up a can rolling on the ground. Then another sound came from the closed door nearby. It startled him. Cao Xiao Liang cautiously approached the mysterious door, reaching out to touch the handle when suddenly, Ai Chin's panicked voice cried out from behind. "A rat!" She threw herself into his arms, seemingly to stop him from opening the door, and said sweetly, "Brother Liang, I saw it. It was a rat." As she pulled him away, he asked, "Where's the rat?" She answered vaguely. Trying to distract him, she said, "It ran over there. I'm so scared." In a blind spot he couldn't see, a head quietly peeked out from behind the door, its eyes glinting dangerously. Just then, Ai Chin let out a cry. She fell backward, pretending to faint. A startled Cao Xiao Liang caught her and asked worriedly, "Ai Chin, what's wrong?" She replied weakly, "Brother Liang, I'm so hungry. I've been trapped here for 5 days with nothing to eat." He snapped his fingers and smiled. "So you're just hungry? That's an easy fix." He ran back to his food cart saying, "Wait a moment, I'll make you something to eat." He sat down and rummaged through the items in his cart, murmuring happily, "What should I make? How about some noodles? Or maybe some buns, chicken wings, and a Coke?" Ai Chin coldly observed his naive act, thinking to herself, "Food." She stood up and examined the cart, spotting eggs and oil, items that were incredibly rare in these apocalyptic times. She was secretly astonished. Where did this guy find so much food? A dangerous smile spread across her lips. "I didn't expect to find such a fat sheep. This is going to be a huge score." Ai Chin reached out to grab an egg, but as soon as she picked it up, the egg vanished. She tried several more times, with the same result. This was due to a system rule. The food cart's ingredients could not be stolen and would automatically return to their original position without the owner's permission. Unaware of this, Ai Qin grew suspicious. What's happening? Am I hallucinating? But she didn't dwell on it, deciding to change her tactics. Forget it, I'll just take care of this guy first. Everything in this cart will be mine. She reached behind her back to grab the knife she had hidden there, but she fumbled around and couldn't find it. Panicking, she wondered, where did it go? Just then, Cao Xiao Liang spoke up. Are you looking for this? Ai Qin was stunned to see her knife in his hand. That's mine. How is it in your possession? He remembered quickly swiping the knife from her back when she had faked fainting. He grinned slyly and said, You obviously need a knife to cook. My little stall just opened, and I don't have the proper tools yet. Mind if I borrow this for a bit? Ai Qin forced a laugh. Of course not. But inwardly, she was terrified. How did he know I had a weapon? Has he been on guard against me this whole time? Seeing the situation was not in her favor, she quickly tried to explain, Brother Liang, don't get the wrong idea. He knew how difficult it was for a girl to survive in the apocalypse. I just used this knife for self-defense. Cao Xiao Liang replied nonchalantly. How could I misunderstand? Of course I believe you. Ai Qin asked timidly. Then, when you're done using it, can I have it back? He nodded. Of course. He offered the knife to her, not forgetting to warn. But this knife is awfully sharp. I'd advise you not to use it if you can help it. Ai Qin gripped the knife, a vicious smile forming on her face that completely contradicted her gentle tone. Is that so? As the words left her mouth, she leaped up, all traces of her previous weakness gone, and lunged at him with the knife, screaming, You gullible fool! You deserve to die! But before the knife could reach him, a defensive shield flared to life, sending Ai Qin flying backward with a scream of pain. Cao Xiao Liang casually cleaned out his ear and sighed. I told you not to use it recklessly. Why wouldn't you listen? Ai Qin collapsed onto the ground, her eyes wide with shock. You're an ability user. Still, she wasn't deterred. In fact, it only fueled her rage. You little brat! You tricked me! I'll kill you! She sprang back to her feet. Dust swirled and sparks flew from under her feet. Unfazed, Cao Xiao Liang calmly pulled out a can of defensive spray and blasted Ai Qin with it. Caught completely off guard, she took the full hit and squeezed her eyes shut tight. She screamed, It burns! Ai Qin writhed on the ground, clutching her swollen eyes and crying nonstop. My eyes! Cao Xiao Liang chuckled, holding up a jar of wasabi. You should have told me you can't handle spicy food. I always try to accommodate my customers' preferences. He then started sprinkling wasabi on her face, asking, Do you like your food grilled? How about with a little extra spice? Ai Qin cried out in pain, begging, Stop it! Please stop! Cao Xiao Liang raised his voice and yelled toward the door. Is the person in there not coming out? If you don't, your accomplice is about to get pickled. The door, which had been shut tight, cracked open slightly before suddenly swinging all the way open. Two children, a boy and a girl, rushed out wielding clubs and shouting in unison, Let our boss go! Cao Xiao Liang was slightly taken aback by the sight. The little boy said aggressively, Boss, don't be scared. We're here to save you. The little girl, with tears welling up in her eyes, still bravely yelled, You meanie! Don't you dare hurt our boss! Cao Xiao Liang easily grabbed both of them with minimal effort. He began to lecture them sternly. You're too young to be forming a gang and hurting people instead of going to school, the two children shouted in unison. Let us go! Ai Qin struggled to her feet and yelled, Don't hurt them! If you have a problem, deal with me. Cao Xiao Liang replied coldly, You said it, not me. He tossed the two kids at her, sending all three of them tumbling to the ground. He then stepped into their secret room, finding it stacked high with all sorts of food and drinks. He began to list them off. Not bad at all. Instant noodles, cookies, canned goods. He stroked his chin, smirking at the three culprits tied up in the corner. Looks like quite a few people fell for your trick before I got here. Seeing how relaxed he was, Ai Qin asked, I've never slipped up before. How did you see through my act? Cao Xiao Liang replied, Then I guess that just means everyone else was incredibly stupid. He began to explain, You said you were trapped here, almost 5 days without eating anything. But the can had leftover soup, clearly just opened, and there was a fresh bloodstain on the ground. Yet she had no wounds on her, he concluded. So there's only one answer. Someone else here was injured or is dead. After analyzing, he muttered, his voice low enough for only him to hear. That was dangerous. I almost became one of them. The little boy said angrily, They deserved it. If they hadn't tried to take advantage of others, they wouldn't have been tricked. The little girl chimed in. That's right, we've never tricked good people. The ones who get tricked are all bad people like you. Cao Xiao Liang, labeled a bad guy, was stunned and thought to himself, How am I a bad guy? The mute spoke up. In this chaotic world, everyone is just trying to survive. They can't blame me. Cao Xiao Liang nodded. Yeah, that makes sense. But right after, his tone changed, and he flashed a vicious smile. So now that you've fallen into my hands, You can't blame me for whatever I want to do. The mute's face turned pale. What do you want to do? Cao Xiao Liang stared at the three of them and grinned. It's been a long time since I've had fresh meat. Looks like I'm in for a treat today. The two kids panicked and burst into tears. He's a cannibal! No, I don't want to be eaten! Despite his fierce expression, Cao Xiaoliang was inwardly delighted. You brats dare to judge my appearance? Scared you good, haven't I? The mute shielded the two children and pleaded, If you want to eat someone, eat me. They're still just children. Please let them go. The little girl cried, No, don't eat our boss. The little boy said firmly, Adults' meat isn't tasty. I'm a kid. My meat is tender. You should eat me instead. Cao Xiaoliang only meant to scare them. He never expected the situation to turn out like this. He thought to himself, What is this? These three scammers are actually close to each other. It makes me look like the bad guy. Suddenly, the little girl started coughing violently, and the boy cried out worriedly, Little sister. The mute said, Xiaoling is injured. If she's tied up, she won't be able to breathe. Cao Xiaoliang considered himself level-headed and not easily fooled, trying to trick me into loosening the ropes so you can stab me, right? Xiaoling kept coughing non-stop, and seeing this, he wavered a little, but he remained stubborn. This little girl's acting is even better than yours, the boy shouted. We're not tricking you. The mute is telling the truth. She's going to die. Seeing their urgency, he didn't untie them right away, but whispered, System, run a scan. The system emitted a beam of light that enveloped the girl to scan her, and then reported, This girl has a severe internal inflammation, which has festered and become infected. Without immediate treatment, she only has 3 days to live. While he and the system were communicating, Xiaoling suddenly coughed up a mouthful of blood. Cao Xiaoliang was startled and quickly used his knife to cut the ropes. The rope snapped open, and the little girl fell forward. The mute and the boy shouted in unison, Xiaoling, little sister. After taking off her outer shirt, he discovered a bloodstain spreading across the bandage on her chest. Seeing this, Cao Xiaoliang cursed angrily. It's a gunshot wound! Who could be so cruel to a child? The mute replied resentfully. It was the Thunderclap Legion. She lowered her eyes and began to recount in a sad voice. Their mother was a regular at my shop. When the world descended into chaos, their family was buying milk tea at the shop. I've seen a lot of apocalypse movies, so when I saw people on the street biting each other, I knew something was wrong and immediately closed the shop. Soon after, the news announced a zombie virus outbreak, advising everyone not to go outside, so the customers stayed. At first, everyone was united, encouraging each other while waiting for rescue. But as time passed and food ran out, people's true natures began to show. One man didn't hesitate to snatch a pack of bread from the two children's mother. The helpless mother said, Hey, you already took your share. This is ours. He replied scornfully, They're so small. How can they get the same share as an adult? One portion is enough for the three of you. The mother tried to explain, My daughter is sick. She can't go without food. Please give it back to me. The man looked down at the little girl, his voice cold. Looking at her like this, she won't last 2 days anyway. Eating it would just be a waste. It's better to give it to someone else. The little boy jumped up and bit the man's hand hard. You bad guy. That's my sister's. The man flew into a rage, lifted the boy up high and yelled, You little brat. You dare to bite me? I'll throw you to your death. Save some food while I'm at it. The terrified mother rushed forward, screaming, Xiao Luo. The mute couldn't stand it anymore and stepped out, lightly tripping the man, who, caught off guard, tumbled to the ground. The mute caught Xiao Luo and scolded the man. Food is limited. What right do you have to steal from others? The man cursed furiously. You call this food? How is a tiny piece of bread like this enough for anyone? Are you trying to starve us to death? The mute was speechless at his logic. How ridiculous. Do I owe you anything? If you want food, there's plenty outside. Go find it yourself. She looked at him as if he were a coward, who didn't dare fight zombies but only knew how to bully women and children. The man got angry. You be. How dare you talk to me like that? A middle-aged woman in the shop interjected, Miss, there are so many people here, and this little bit of food really isn't enough. Can you share some more? Another customer added, That's right. When this whole mess is over, we'll pay you back double. The mute explained, This is a milk tea shop, not a supermarket. In total, this is all the food there is, and I've already taken it all out. A young woman pointed at a room and questioned, Did you really take it all out? Then why is that door locked so tightly? What's inside? The mute calmly replied, That's my changing room. There's nothing inside. The other person wouldn't let it go. I don't believe you. Not unless you open the door and let us see. The mute frowned. Why should I? But she alone couldn't stand against the starving crowd. Everyone started shouting, She won't prove it, so there must be food inside. Letting everyone starve while you eat alone. How can you be so selfish? The mother of Xiao Luo and Xiao Ling stepped in to mediate. Everyone, please don't be like this. If it weren't for this kind lady taking us in, we wouldn't have survived this long. You can't be so heartless. But when hunger overwhelmed reason, These words had no effect. One person yelled, "If it wasn't for her meddling in other people's business, I would have been home long ago." Another person added, "That's right. If we had left earlier, we might have met a rescue team and retreated to a safe zone with the government forces." Ai Chin sneered. "A bunch of ingrates. If you want to leave, it's not too late to go now," the aggressive man shouted. "You bitch, you think you're hot stuff, don't you?" The crowd rushed forward to restrain Ai Chin, boldly saying, "Ignore her, just break down the door." The man didn't wait any longer and moved to break down the door. "Grr, you better hope I don't find any food, or you'll see how I deal with you." After a few strong shoves, the door burst open, revealing nothing but women's dresses inside. The man stared blankly and exclaimed, "It's just clothes." He stepped inside, looked around, and muttered, "Isn't this a milk tea shop? What's with all these dresses?" A middle-aged woman spoke with venom. "I've known for a while she wasn't a decent woman," a young girl chimed in. "Good girls don't dress like that. She's definitely trying to seduce someone." Ai Chin shouted in anger, "Don't you go too far!" Suddenly, a deafening explosion echoed from outside. An SUV smashed through the main entrance, crashing straight into the shop. The front of the vehicle bore an emblem of a gear and a lightning bolt. A man stepped out, laughing loudly. "There are people here." Everyone in the shop immediately became wary. "Who are you?" The man's ferocious appearance made it obvious he was here to rob them. As expected, he announced, "We are the Thunderclap Legion. Anyone who doesn't want to die, hand over your food." The man who had been yelling at Ai Chin was now trembling. "Please, don't hurt me. I'm just passing by." He pointed at Ai Chin. "All the resources are with that woman. She's the one in charge here." The members of the Thunderclap Legion flashed sinister smiles, saying one by one, "There are women, and not just one. It's been a long time since I've seen such a beautiful woman. Looks like we're eating well tonight, boys." Ai Chin only had time to scream, "Run!" before grabbing the two children's hands and turning to flee. On the other side, two of the raiders had already subdued a young couple. The young man cried, "I'll give her to you. Please don't kill me. Spare me." The girl screamed in panic, "No, help me." A blonde man was in hot pursuit of Ai Chin, reaching out to grab her shoulder. "Hey, little thing, stop running. I'll show you a good time." Ai Chin twisted her wrist, and a dagger appeared. She swung the blade at him, cursing, "In your dreams." The blonde man was caught off guard and roared, "You bitch. You had a knife hidden." He pulled out a gun and fired a shot. "Go to hell." The bullet was meant for Ai Chin, but Xiao Ling suddenly jumped in front of her, and the bullet pierced the little girl's shoulder. The incident horrified Ai Chin, Xiao Luo, and the children's mother. They screamed in unison, "Xiao Ling!" The raider leader yelled, "You idiot! Who told you to fire your gun? Don't you know it'll attract zombies?" He then turned and shot the young girl who had confronted Ai Chin earlier in the shop, right in the head. Seeing the situation turning against them, he no longer cared about the women and just wanted to grab all the supplies and retreat. He ordered, "Take everything. Leave nothing behind." Anyone who tried to run was taken down by a single bullet. In the end, only Ai Chin, Xiao Luo, and Xiao Ling were cornered against a wall with no way out. The children's mother suddenly rushed forward, grabbing the man tightly around the waist to hold him back. She screamed, "Run!" Xiao Luo cried out in fear. "Mom!" The brute slammed her on the head. "Damn woman, let go!" But she didn't loosen her grip, not even a little. "Don't worry about me, or everyone will die." The mother weakly said her last words. "Miss Ai, please take care of Xiao Luo and Xiao Ling." Ai Chin held back her tears, grabbing the stunned Xiao Luo, and gritted her teeth as she jumped through a window to escape. When she saw the three of them get out of the store, the mother pulled the pin on a grenade attached to the man's thigh. The explosion blew the milk tea shop to smithereens. Back in the present, Ai Chin sat on the ground in a daze, saying, "I promised Sister Lee I would protect them and help them survive. This was the only way." She couldn't help but sob, "I'm sorry, I'm so useless." Xiaoling woke up and reached out to wipe her tears, obediently saying, "Boss, don't cry. It doesn't hurt. If I die, will I get to see Mom?" Ai Chin quickly comforted her. "Xiaoling, you're not going to die." Xiao Luo panicked. "I don't have a mom anymore. Little sister, please don't leave me." The system, having heard the story, sniffled. "They're so pitiful." Cao Xiao Liang glanced at it, pitiful now, but she didn't show any mercy when she was trying to kill me earlier. He thought to himself, in this chaotic world, bringing two children along is not only a burden but also causes a lot of trouble, increasing the risk of death. For her to have persevered this long, she must have a conscience. He turned to ask the system, "Hey buddy, don't you have medicine in your space? Is there anything that can heal this child?" The system replied, "I do, but you need to unlock a high-level space to use it. Your authority isn't high enough," he pouted. "Just a moment ago you were saying how pitiful they were, and now you're just going to watch her die. You're a system. Can't you be a little flexible?" The system saw through his intentions and replied flatly, Are you trying to trick me into creating an opportunity to upgrade your authority? Cao Xiaoliang's face darkened as he thought. To be seen through so easily, this system is pretty smart. Although the system couldn't grant him the authority, it offered another solution. I can't be flexible, but that doesn't mean there's no way. The second function of the snack bar, food personally made by the owner, has healing effects. Cao Xiaoliang was thrilled. Why didn't you say so earlier? Are there any other surprises this precious item has that I don't know about? The system calmly replied. The specific effect is related to your level. The higher the level, the better the effect. At your current level, you can only rely on luck. Cao Xiaoliang rolled up his sleeves, determined. Well, I have to give it a try anyway. He looked at the eggs, flour, and oil on the table, wondering what he could make with just these ingredients. An idea flashed in his mind, and he exclaimed, I've got it. He cracked the eggs into a bowl, mixed the batter, added seasoning, and cooked it on a pan. The fragrant aroma spread, making Boss Cam's group curious. Xiao Luo wiped his drool. Heh, that smells so good. A moment later, Cao Xiao Liang held up the freshly made cake and announced, Rooster cake. Boss Cam asked warily, What are you trying to do? He smiled. Don't worry, it's not poisoned. He handed the cake to Zhao Ling. This is the egg cake I loved most as a kid. Xiao Ling, give it a try. The little girl took the cake and beamed. Thank you, big brother. She took a bite, and while chewing, she praised, It's so fragrant and sweet, so delicious. Suddenly, Xiao Ling's eyes widened, and she shot up to her feet. Boss Cam panicked. Xiao Ling, you're not supposed to be able to get up yet. The little girl looked bewildered. I don't think I feel any pain at all anymore. Boss Cam couldn't believe it and touched the girl's forehead. Really? The fever is gone, and even her wounds are starting to heal. Xiao Luo was ecstatic. Does this mean my sister isn't going to die? This is amazing! Boss Cam noticed something was off and looked at the egg cake, asking, What did you put in this? No medicine can break a fever this fast. Could it be your special ability? Cao Xiaoliang replied, Of course, I can't tell you that. But Xiao Ling has only taken the first step toward recovery. To fully heal, she'll need to eat the egg cakes I make for a long time. He grinned slyly. This time was just a free sample. Next time I'll definitely have to charge you. Boss Cam pointed to the pile of food on the floor. No problem. As long as you can cure Xiao Ling, all of this is yours. Xiao Luo nodded. Yeah. Cao Xiao Liang waved his hand dismissively. I have enough food. I don't need that stuff. He pointed dramatically at Boss Cam. I need you. Xiao Luo screamed, You bastard! I knew you had bad intentions toward our boss. Xiao Ling also chimed in. I don't want to be cured anymore. Don't you dare hurt our boss. Cao Xiao Liang sighed in exasperation. What are these two kids thinking about all day? Is there anything else in their heads? He turned to explain, I meant I want you to work for me. As an employee at my snack counter. With employee benefits. I'll cover your room and board. That's it. Boss Cam didn't answer right away and conferred with the two kids. Xiao Luo said, I don't know what his ability is, but he seems really strong. Boss Cam continued, Plus, if we go with him, we'll get free food and won't have to worry about supplies. Xiao Ling added. After a moment, the three of them agreed. All right, I accept your offer, but Xiao Luo and Xiao Ling have to come with me. Cao Xiao Liang looked at them with a flicker of regret, somehow feeling like he'd just made a terrible decision. Boss Cam produced a contract, smiling slyly. Even though it's a chaotic world now, the working conditions still need to be clear. Everything will be according to this contract. Cao Xiaoliang skimmed it and broke out in a cold sweat. Work from 9 in the morning to 5 in the evening, with 5 types of insurance, a pension fund, 2 paid holidays, overtime pay, an attendance bonus, and a 13th month salary. He yelled in anger. You might as well just say you want a paid vacation. Boss Cam ignored his sarcasm and demanded more. And another thing, child labor benefits must be calculated separately. Suddenly, a voice came from outside the door. The delicious smell is coming from here. A metal axe smashed through the glass door, shattering it. 4 beefy men walked in. The biggest one spoke up, just as I thought, someone's here. As soon as De Zhuang entered, he immediately targeted the egg cake in Xiao Ling's hand. He shouted, Smells amazing. I told you guys my nose is sharp. Xiao Luo stood protectively in front of the little girl, yelling, This is my sister's cake. Cao Xiao Liang stepped forward to face Da Zhuang. The man placed his hand on the weapon behind his back, threatening, What? You looking for a fight? Contrary to his expectations, Cao Xiao Liang rubbed his hands together and smiled warmly. Brothers, the kid doesn't know any better. I'm the owner of this food stand. Whatever you guys want to eat, I'll cook up something fresh. Da Zhuang turned to the man behind him. Boss, I want to eat. The boss, named Lei Hong, thought for a moment before stepping forward to ask, How much for your chickadee egg cakes? Cao Xiao Liang's mind raced. These guys didn't look like small fry. They must have a lot of essence cores. Seeing a chance to complete his quest, he smiled and handed over a menu. Here's the menu. Please take a look. After Lei Hong looked at it, he was shocked. What? A single chickadee egg cake costs 10 essence cores? Cao Xiao Liang replied, times are tough in the apocalypse. Rice and flour are exchanged with our lives. This price is already a bargain. Lei Hong nodded in agreement. That makes sense, he said generously. Give me 10 of them, Cao Xiao Liang replied cheerfully. Coming right up, Da Zhuang threatened. If it's not good, I'll smash you and your cart. Cao Xiao Liang pouted and muttered. Whether it's good or not isn't up to me. Lei Hong heard him and glared. What do you mean by that? Are you implying we're going to dine and dash? Just then, Boss Cam came over, wrapped her arm around Lei Hong's, and cooed, our boss isn't very good with words. Please don't be mad at him, you guys. Seeing a beautiful woman making a move on him, Lei Hong's face turned beet red. Seeing that her tactic was working, Boss Cam continued to sweet-talk him. Big brother, your chest muscles are so huge, you must be amazing at fighting zombies. Lei Hong was flustered by her, stammering, That's a matter of course. His 3 underlings watched this and snickered. The boss's old habit is acting up again. He gets dumb and starts stuttering whenever he sees a pretty girl. Boss Cam led Lei Hong away. So many egg cakes will take a while to make. Everyone, please don't be impatient. Come wait inside. Lei Hong replied stiffly like a robot. Okay. As she walked past Cao Xiao Liang, she winked at him. He praised her inwardly. The proprietress is truly top tier. Hiring her as an employee was definitely the right choice. Cao Xiao Liang went behind the counter, turned on the stove, and started cooking. Lei Hong's 3 underlings sat nearby, drooling uncontrollably. A short while later, the fragrant egg cakes were ready. Everyone picked one up and took a bite. Kaylin and Ivy held their breath, waiting for a reaction. As expected, Raiden Hong exclaimed, this is delicious. Titan was shocked. It was a taste from his childhood. The blue-haired woman was moved, so nostalgic. The other guy remarked, my desk mate, Little Fang, loved this stuff the most. Raiden Hong tossed him a large bag of crystal cores as promised. He praised, Owner, your skills are pretty good. Kaylin happily accepted it. You're too kind. Raiden Hong then asked, I see you have a lot of items on your menu. Besides the bubble waffles, what else do you have? He replied, a lot. Then he listed them off. Fried chicken, meat skewers, spicy numbing soup, grilled squid skewers, hot dogs, donuts, fried dough sticks, tofu, dipping sauce, Coke, beer, plum juice, and also. Raiden Hong cut him off. Say no more. Give me 10 servings of each. Kaylin was in a tough spot, but I only have flour, noodles, and eggs on hand. To make these dishes, I need a lot of ingredients. In times like these, I'm afraid they're not easy to find. Raiden Hong said confidently, that's simple. Whatever ingredients you need, just name them. There's nothing I can't get. Kaylin frowned, thinking, what a big talker. Ivy leaned in and whispered, these guys look like they could be apocalypse merchants. If we let them be our suppliers, we won't have to risk our lives looking for ingredients anymore. He nodded. That's right. After discussing it, Kaylin put on a friendly smile. Boss, I wonder what your prices are for ingredients. Could we work together long-term? Ivy added, coquettishly, big brother, give us a good deal, okay? At worst, we won't charge you guys when you visit our stall in the future. Raiden Hong and Titan looked at each other, surprised by the term boss. The lackeys burst out laughing. That's right, our big boss is a boss, all right, but he's in the no capital business. After hearing this, Kaylin's and Ivy's faces darkened. Raiden Hong suddenly remembered something and turned to Titan. Why is Tiger's group taking so long? Titan replied, I've already sent people to look for them. I left signs on the road. They'll find their own way here. Outside, an SUV rolled up, and a guy rushed in to report, Boss, it's bad news, he said. Tiger's group is injured. Everyone looked towards the door with grim faces as 4 battered and ragged figures stumbled in, supporting each other. Kaylin recognized them immediately. He had a bad feeling. These punks had finally dragged themselves back. Raiden Hong was stunned by the pathetic state of Tiger and his men. One was practically crippled. Another had his arm bandaged. Their clothes were filthy and reeked. He asked urgently, Who beat you guys into this state? Tiger looked at his boss like he was his savior, tearing up, Boss, over here. The little fox got his tail beaten off. Another guy painfully raised his arm, describing the kid who set up the food stall, saying he claimed to be some kind of chosen one. Raiden Hong yelled angrily, Nonsense! This isn't some novel. There's no such thing as a chosen one in this world. Titan, full of fighting spirit, clapped his hands. That's right, and even if there is, the boss will have to test him out to know for sure. One of the underlings sighed, pointed at his own pitiful state, and said resentfully, We didn't believe it at first either. But that kid is really weird. All of our attacks were reflected back at us, and we ended up with internal injuries like this. Raiden Hong looked at Titan, puzzled. Attacks being reflected back. Is he an ability user? Titan thought for a moment, then shook his head. I've never heard of this type of ability. Meanwhile, Ivy, after witnessing Kalen's performance, was dazed, thinking to herself, what a strange power. She suddenly recalled the power from his cloth, a force like a sound wave that almost sent her flying. After hearing the Thunderclap Legion members, Ivy secretly glanced at Kalon, then looked worriedly at Raiden Hong. They were saying, could it be? Are we about to be found out? The Thunderclap Legion had found their way here. Kalon tiptoed softly, planning to sneak away. He muttered, got a bolt, got a bolt. Ivy suddenly pointed at him and shouted, so it was you traitorous, despicable jerk. Raiden Hong trembled with anger, his eyes bloodshot, flames of fury erupting. He roared, I don't care who he is, but anyone who dares to touch my, Raiden Hong's, people will all die. Ivy was stunned as if struck by lightning. Kalon stood frozen, not daring to move. Lin and Lack, with tears in their eyes, said, ah, we've heard of this name before. That's Raiden Hong. Ivy stepped forward and asked directly, you're Raiden Hong, the leader of the Thunderclap Legion? Titan answered on his behalf. That's right. The underling who had just been beaten to a pulp looked at her smugly. So we're that famous, huh? Raiden Hong blushed, forgetting his main task upon seeing a pretty girl, and laughed loudly to be polite. Miss, if you have any trouble in the future, just come find me. Before he could finish, Lin and Lack rushed forward, raising their fists to hit him. Lin shouted, you're the leader of that group, Lack added. You bastard. It was your people who hurt my sister and my mother. Raiden Hong grabbed one in each hand, lifting them up effortlessly as they struggled, and asked in surprise, hey kids, what's with the craziness? Who killed your mom? Titan and the blonde guy were also bewildered. Titan scratched his head. It's a misunderstanding. Although we're bandits, we've never harmed children or women. The blonde guy nodded. That's right. 1 minute later, Ivy's aura exploded, and she charged forward, launching a kick at Raiden Hong, her voice cold. Like hell I'd believe you. Let them go now. Raiden Hong leaned back to dodge, tossing Lin and Lack to the side. The two kids landed safely, but Lack almost couldn't take it when Lin landed on top of him. Raiden Hong and Ivy fought fiercely. A series of her kicks flew by, but Raiden Hong only dodged, moving nimbly. Ivy grew even angrier, unleashing her full power in her attacks. The underlings watched and cheered enthusiastically. The blonde guy nodded in approval. This woman is really talented, Titan laughed heartily. Now this is a good show. But he was worried because the boss had a weakness for not fighting women. What should we do now? The whole gang shouted, Boss, you can do it! Raiden Hong's face turned beet red as he muttered, this weakness of mine is just being shy around girls, isn't it? He only blocked Ivy's leg, looking at the crowd. His underlings were just watching the show, which infuriated him. Weren't these brats going to help him while he was in such a mess? The blue-haired girl cheerfully said, Boss, this is a psychological issue you need to overcome on your own. Lei Hong and Ngai Kam continued their cat-and-mouse game, dodging and depleting their spiritual power. The commotion from their fight attracted a mysterious creature in the hole in the ceiling. Its massive tentacles covered the opening, dripping slime onto the floor below. Cao Xiao Liang watched with amusement. It was a classic scene of enemies clashing. But then he suddenly jolted. Oh, damn it! He counted on his fingers. 1, 2, realizing he only had one chance left for the day. In a panic, he rushed toward the vendor cart. He planned to sneakily push it away and head back to the safe zone, but Ahu spotted him and yelled, along with the bald guy, That's him! He's the so-called chosen one. Lei Hong turned to where his men were pointing. It's you. He grabbed Ngai Kam's leg and mercilessly threw her aside. She cried out in pain as she hit the ground. Dai Trang approached and tightly gripped both of Ngai Kam's hands. She struggled, but he held on firmly, saying tiredly, Just behave yourself. Today is your last day. Lei Hong blocked Cao Xiao Liang's path, cracking his knuckles with a venomous tone. You beat up my brothers, and you even took my essence core. It's been a long time since anyone has messed with me like this, and now you're going to die. Cao Xiao Liang played dumb, propping his chin with his hand and smiling. Big bro, it's all just a misunderstanding. His confident smirk made Ahu and the bald guy flip out. Indignantly, they shouted, Boss, don't listen to him. This kid is a master of playing the pig to eat the tiger. It's because we let our guard down that we ended up like this. Tu Lin and Tu Lok ran up and fiercely retorted, yelling, Our big brother is not a pig. Our big brother is really amazing, Tu Lin added. That's right. He's 100 times more amazing than your boss. From afar, Ngai Kam interjected, Our boss is the real man here, not like some people who are all tough on the outside, but are so weak inside they wouldn't even dare hit a woman. Hearing both sides bickering about him, Lei Hong felt steam coming out of his ears, thinking, This is absolutely hopeless. Exasperated, Cao Xiao Liang tugged his ear and shouted, Can you all please stop talking? Lei Hong exploded with demonic energy, clenched his fists, and lunged forward. Cut the crap. Let me see what you've got. A powerful demonic force radiated from him as he smashed his fist into the floor, and in just a split second, The floor completely shattered and cracked apart. A terrified Cao Xiao Liang collapsed and scrambled backward. Demonic energy surged from the fissures, along with scorching flames that engulfed the area in heat. Lei Hong was certainly living up to his name. He was surrounded by an oppressive aura of fire and thunder. Amidst the black smoke, his towering silhouette loomed over a corner of the room. Every breath he took sounded like a crackling blaze, fanning the flames before him. No one dared to approach, not even his own men. After a while, as Lei Hong's rage cooled, the flames gradually died down. Ngai Cam was speechless and couldn't move, her jaw dropping as she uttered, "This solid concrete floor was shattered to pieces by just one punch?" Tu Lin and Tu Lak cowered together in fear. So scary. Is he some kind of monster? Dai Trang laughed triumphantly. An ability user's strength is already on par with a monster's, and our boss is the cream of the crop. Ahu added proudly. Now do you see who you've picked a fight with? Cao Xiao Liang silently watched Lei Hong, astonished by the move he just saw. So this was the power of an ability user? If that punch connected, even a slight graze would have shattered his bones to pieces. Before he could regain his composure, Lei Hong rushed in, throwing a punch as hard as steel. Cao Xiao Liang managed to dodge it nimbly, and Lei Hong sneered, "What are you standing there dazed for? Weren't you acting all high and mighty just a second ago? If you have any skills, then show them, you piece of trash who only knows how to dodge." He angrily unleashed his spiritual energy, planning to end it with a single blow. So tell me, who's the real woman here? Lei Hong unleashed a flurry of punches at Cao Xiao Liang, who was forced to block the fiery assault with both hands. The immense power made him tremble, and sonic booms reverberated with every blow. Cao Xiao Liang coughed up a mouthful of blood. Although he survived, his internal injuries were severe. Lei Hong watched in surprise. This brat took that many of my punches and wasn't turned into a bloody pulp. He's definitely stronger than a normal person. This only strengthened his resolve to finish him off. He threw a few more punches with a mocking tone. "But to be my opponent, you're still a long way off." Tu Lin and Tu Lak cowered in a corner in fear. Tu Lin sobbed, clutching her brother's clothes. "Big brother can't hold on much longer," Tu Lak added sadly. "Will we not be able to eat chicken eggs anymore?" Ngai Cam stood motionless, her expression grim, thinking to herself, "If the boss dies, then everything on that cart will belong to us." An enraged Cao Xiao Liang dodged another one of Lei Hong's iron fists. He didn't intend to fight back initially, but his opponent's frenzied attacks were infuriating him. He yelled, "You're the real pieces of trash!" Lei Hong burst out laughing, completely unimpressed. "A chosen one? You're clearly just some nut job who's read too many fantasy novels." An iron fist struck Cao Xiao Liang, smashing him painfully into the wall. He winced in pain, forcing his eyes open to glare at Lei Hong. Blood seeped from the wound on his abdomen, drenching his shirt, and the intense pain caused him to collapse to his knees. He pressed a hand to his injury and slowly stood up, his clothes torn to shreds, revealing many other wounds. As he struggled to his feet, he thought, "Dodging isn't going to work. If I face him directly, even with my boosted strength, I can't do any damage. I have no chance of winning." Then, suddenly, his eyes fell on the vendor cart, and a brilliant idea struck him. "But if I can just use that thing, the stronger his attack, the more powerful the recoil." Without hesitation, Cao Xiao Liang sprinted towards the cart, surprising Lei Hong. He thought fearlessly, "I only get one shot at this." A triumphant Lei Hong muttered, "Finally done running away? That's more like it. Now, die." He then unleashed a flurry of punches, but he didn't expect that Cao Xiao Liang had no intention of engaging him. He suddenly ducked, slid between Lei Hong's legs, and shouted, "Oh snap." Then, with an incredibly slick move, he yanked Lei Hong's pants straight down to his ankles. Lei Hong was stunned, feeling a strange breeze on his lower half as his mind went blank. What the heck? He just exposed Lei Hong. Ngai Cam stood frozen in place, her eyes wide and unblinking. Tu Lin and Tu Lak were in shock, their legs shaking uncontrollably. 7. Lei Hong's crew witnessed their boss getting publicly humiliated and tried to hold back their laughter. Ah Hu and Da Zhuang turned away, while the blonde guy and the green-haired girl burst out laughing. "How embarrassing. That's hilarious." Cao Xiao Liang shouted excitedly, "It worked." Lei Hong's eyes were bloodshot, brimming with killing intent as he roared, "You bastard." Lunging towards him, "I swear I'm going to kill you." Xiao Luo seized the opportunity, spotting a dagger on Da Zhuang's hip. The kid, as if possessed, rushed forward and struck Da Zhuang below the belt. He pushed Mr. Jin away in pain, screaming. Xiao Luo swiftly snatched the dagger and ran towards Lei Hong, shouting, "Evil leader, I'm going to avenge my mother." Mr. Jin and Xiao Ling were horrified by the scene. Xiao Ling said worriedly, "Oh my god, Xiao Luo has gone crazy." Da Zhuang immediately raised his gun and fired at Xiao Luo. "Boss, watch out!" Both sides attacked simultaneously. Cao Xiao Liang watched Da Zhuang's actions in anger. "You bastard, and you claim you don't hurt women and children?" He used all his strength to push the vending cart towards Xiao Luo. Just as the bullet was mere feet from the boy, the cart shot forward to shield him. The bullet struck the cart with a deafening screech. Xiao Luo cried out in fear, but the one in real danger was Cao Xiao Liang. Lei Hong, engulfed in flames, charged at him, the fire swirling like molten lava. He roared, "Die!" Cao Xiao Liang lay there, lamenting his fate. After finally getting a chance to be the main character, it looked like this was the end. He thought bitterly of Xiao Ling and Xiao Luo. Troublesome kids really are the worst. He closed his eyes, bracing for the blow, but just as the fiery fist was about to hit his face, it suddenly stopped. A loud explosion erupted, blowing the entire house to smithereens. From within the black smoke, Bai Feifei emerged. She stepped forward, her eyes cold, looking at everyone with cold, murderous intent. Without a word, she charged straight at Ah Hu and Da Zhuang's group. Her first target was Lei Hong. Bai Feifei launched a kick towards him. Lei Hong was both surprised and terrified as her fair legs flew towards his face. Her deathly glare was a clear warning for having attacked Cao Xiao Liang. Lei Hong glanced down at her heaving chest, muttering, "I'm a goner, guys." His head was spinning, a mix of embarrassed, blushing, and rage. A woman. Cao Xiao Liang recognized her. "Bai Feifei?" he asked, surprised. She unleashed her spiritual power, sending Lei Hong flying with a kick, her divine energy surging like a flash flood, making him cry out in pain. Ugh! Just one of Bai Feifei's attacks sent Lei Hong smashing through a wall, causing the room to explode. Black smoke billowed up. A massive, earth-shattering explosion erupted. Bai Feifei stood there imposingly, her gaze fixed on the fiery wreckage. His underlings realized the situation had turned against them. The green-haired girl exclaimed to her comrades, "Where did she come from?" The guy next to her was stunned. "The boss got taken down. How is that possible?" The blonde guy recognized Bai Feifei, pointing at her and saying to his crew, "Isn't that the one we captured? She's a zombie." They immediately fell into a battle formation. 2 heavy guns were quickly loaded and aimed at Bai Feifei. The blonde guy gave the order, "Brothers, prepare to fight. Be careful, don't let her bite you." Hundreds of bullets rained down on Bai Feifei in a frenzy. But with her agile body, she weaved through them gracefully, dodging every single one, without a single one hitting her. The blonde guy started to panic, lowering his weapon in shock. "She's so fast. This is no ordinary zombie. It's a mutant." Bai Feifei then leaped onto the roof of Cao Xiao Liang's vending cart. Da Zhuang immediately charged, swinging a sharp iron blade through the air, intending to take her on one-on-one. Cao Xiao Liang watched this, his heart breaking, not for Bai Feifei, but for the fate of his vending cart. He screamed, "If you're going to fight, fine, but stay away from my stall." He used all his strength and rushed to push the cart away. Because of this, Bai Feifei easily dodged Da Zhuang's slash. Another goon took advantage of the chaos, secretly aiming a sniper rifle at Bai Feifei and yelling, "Everyone, clear out. Eat this, you monster woman." Cao Xiao Liang rushed over from a distance, desperately shouting, "Don't!" The gunshot echoed, feeling like it tore through his heart. The bullet sped towards Bai Feifei, who was sitting nonchalantly on the cart's roof. She watched the bullet as if it were a mere toy. Suddenly, she jumped, dodging its trajectory. For a moment, it looked like the bullet would hit Cao Xiaoliang's cart and destroy it. But Bai Feifei still had a shred of decency, grabbing the cart's handle and pulling it back just as the bullet whizzed by, saving it from impact. Cao Xiaoliang nearly fainted from relief, happily giving her a thumbs up. "Nice one." The bullet slammed into the wall and exploded. A violent explosion. Lei Hong struggled up from the rubble, his body aching, and cursed, "Damn it, who dares to sneak attack me?" Before he could finish, a wooden plank flew out of nowhere and whacked him on the head. Lei Hong collapsed in pain. "So much pain. I'm going down." It was all over. The green-haired girl and the masked guy prayed silently, frantically calling out to their boss. Lei Hong, a huge lump on his forehead and on the verge of tears, glared at the blonde guy and yelled, "Where the hell were you aiming?" The guy scratched his head, playing dumb. "I wasn't paying attention. She was just too crafty." Lei Hong leaped to his feet, regained his composure, and ordered an all-out assault. "Damn it. Attack." The bald guy quickly reloaded and fired a burst at Cao Xiao Liang. "You're the chosen one, huh? Let's see me turn you into Swiss cheese." Lei Hong's entire crew opened fire simultaneously. Hundreds of bullets rained down. Bai Feifei had no choice but to take cover. Meanwhile, Mr. Jin, Cao Xiao Liang, Xiao Luo, and Xiao Ling were scared out of their minds. The 4 of them huddled together, panicking, fleeing through the utter chaos. Under a hail of bullets, Cao Xiao Liang still hadn't forgotten about his precious cart, determined to drag it along no matter what. He casually muttered, "My cart. Is it not broken?" Mr. Cam dashed off without a second glance, yelling in annoyance, "This is no time to be worrying about this piece of junk car." The group found themselves in a dire situation, completely at a loss. Cao Xiaoliang replied indignantly, Of course we have to get away while they're being held up by that zombie. You want to stay here and get slaughtered? Even though Xiao Luo was trembling with fear, he still managed to curse at the robbers. Those scumbags deserve to be eaten alive by zombies. Bai Feifei suddenly turned her head to look back at Cao Xiao Liang's group scattering in panic. She was annoyed, puffing her cheeks in anger, thinking to herself, they run pretty fast. Suddenly, she grabbed an iron bar from the ground, turning it into a deadly weapon and decisively swatting away every incoming bullet. With superhuman strength, Bai Feifei hurled the iron bar into the air. Thrown with terrifying force, the iron bar spun like a giant pinwheel, cutting through the hail of bullets and flying straight at the enemies. The leader was struck by the bar, and the pain made him drop his gun. One by one, their guns were knocked into the air, their aim thrown off, causing a chaotic spray of bullets all over the platform. Cao Xiao Liang, Mr. Cam, Xiao Luo, and Xiao Ling could only hide behind the cargo truck, sighing in relief. We're going to live after all. Hu Dazhuang and his goons turned and fled without looking back. At this rate, they were just afraid of getting their butts handed to them. One of the panicked thugs yelled, "Stop this damn gun! It'd be so unlucky to die by friendly fire. I'm not afraid of a strong enemy. I'm afraid of a stupid teammate." After a fierce volley of gunfire, the gun finally lay silent on the floor. As the smoke cleared, Lei Toi's group slowly and cautiously peeked out to assess the situation. They were hiding all over the place, striking all 49 kinds of cool poses. The blonde-haired guy cheered. The shooting stopped. The blue-haired girl looked around, surprised. Where'd she go? The biggest question on their minds right now was, where is that female zombie? On the other side, Cao Xiao Liang, Mr. Cam, and the two kids, Xiao Luo and Xiao Ling, also slowly got to their feet, cautiously peeking over to check on the situation, especially the enemies. Xiao Luo and Xiao Ling cautiously reported, "There's no movement." The whole group breathed a sigh of relief, finally able to relax a bit. Cao Xiaoliang turned to everyone and said urgently, "Now's our chance. Run for it." But he never expected that Bai Feifei would suddenly appear right in front of him, her hair fluttering in the wind, looking like a floating specter. She swung down from the awning of the cargo truck, playfully swinging her fist at Cao Xiaoliang. "Just wanted to give you a little scare. It's only a joke." The four of them stared blankly, thinking Bai Feifei was going to eat them. 1 minute and 30 seconds later, the entire group was hightailing it out of there faster than a speeding bullet. Xiao Ling and Xiao Luo cried and pleaded, "Kids don't taste good!" On instinct, a terrified Mr. Cam grabbed both children's hands. Not knowing if they were actually being chased, they screamed ahead of time anyway. "Don't bite me!" Cao Xiaoliang agilely led the way, glancing back in panic at the other three and thinking, when did she start chasing us? In reality, Bai Feifei had no intention of eating them. She was a vegetarian zombie after all. Watching Cao Xiaoliang's group dash away like the wind, she laughed. This is pretty fun, but the real danger was only now revealing itself. A monster stealthily watched their every move, using its tentacles to cling and move slowly overhead, looking down on the panicking Cao Xiaoliang. Bai Feifei suddenly heard a strange noise from the roof, and with her keen senses, she instantly realized the danger that was lurking. Without a word, she darted like lightning towards Cao Xiaoliang, who was speeding up and running for his life. Cao Xiaoliang looked back and screamed in terror. "Oh my God, it's like my legs have grown wheels." He kept running, crying out, "We don't have any beef. Why are you only chasing me?" Just then, massive tentacles burst through the ceiling, whistling as they shot down. Sticky slime rained down like spiderwebs. The monster used its tentacles to attack Cao Xiaoliang. He screamed, "Somebody help me!" Bai Feifei saw the hundreds of octopus tentacles and was briefly surprised, but she immediately realized, "This is bad. My beloved Cao Xiaoliang is in danger." With a click, Feifei accelerated, moving even faster than the monster. Disregarding the danger, she blocked the monster's path right as the tentacles were about to hit her. The monster, fearing nothing, simply whipped out several more giant tentacles, wrapped them tightly around Bai Feifei, and lifted her into the air. She struggled in agony, but it was no use. Cao Xiaoliang rushed over to help, but couldn't free her from the monster's grip. In a moment of despair, Bai Feifei reached out her hand towards him with a helpless look in her eyes. Cao Xiaoliang's heart skipped a beat. He stood frozen in fear, unsure of what was about to happen. This ridiculously huge octopus was a real pain. After toying with her enough, it casually retracted its tentacles, cruelly letting Bai Feifei plummet from the air onto the cold, hard floor. Slime from its tentacles dripped through the hole in the ceiling, splattering all over the floor and releasing a pungent, fishy stench. Finally, the monster emerged completely. It descended from above like a bird, landing majestically. Its massive body created a heavy impact, nearly crushing Cao Xiaoliang flat. The giant octopus blocked all the surrounding light, emitting a thick and mysterious black smoke. Its crimson eyes, like two orbs of fire, burned with rage as it stared down Cao Xiaoliang. Lei Hong suddenly dashed out, shouting a warning to his team. That's a mutated creature. The group immediately took their positions, preparing for an ambush. A row of sniper rifles was loaded, ready to open fire on Lei Hong's command. As soon as the order was given, a continuous volley of shots rang out, aimed directly at the monster creature. The giant octopus furiously swung its long tentacles like iron arms, forming a solid shield. In an instant, it deftly caught hundreds of bullets. Its thick hide, like an armored life vest, swelled up, blocking every attack. Bai Fei Fei lay motionless in a pool of blood by the wall, her severe injuries causing her to lose consciousness and pass out. Cao Xiao Liang and Mr. Jin rushed over to the girl, their hearts filled with worry. Bai Fei Fei winced and gasped for air, blood from her wound soaking her body, leaving her even more exhausted. Mr. Jin stammered as he turned to Cao Xiao Liang. It seems like she was just protecting you. Cao Xiao Liang knelt down, gently supporting Bai Fei Fei. Seeing the girl in this state because she had protected him, his heart ached with an indescribable pain. But why? Though weak, Bai Fei Fei recognized Cao Xiao Liang's voice. She struggled to open her eyes, her blood-soaked hands trembling as she held something out to him. In her small, blood-stained hand, she held out a long, crinkled candy wrapper. Cao Xiao Liang immediately recognized the familiar wrapper. He paused in thought as memories flooded back. This was from that time. He remembered the first time he met Bai Fei Fei, when he had tossed that piece of candy to her. Taking the wrapper from her hand, Cao Xiao Liang asked emotionally, "Did she come all this way just to give me this?" Bai Fei Fei nodded weakly, only managing a few faint grunts. Her strength completely drained. She couldn't say anything more, her eyes slowly closing from exhaustion. Xiao Luo stood nearby, his eyes wide with astonishment. Can she understand what we're saying? Cao Xiaoliang immediately contacted the system, his voice urgent. System, she's a zombie, so why is she acting so human? The system quickly analyzed the data from Bai Fei Fei's body as a stream of spiritual energy flowed through her. The system sent out continuous analysis signals, then it replied to Cao Xiaoliang in surprise. Based on the analysis results, the target's body does indeed contain the zombie virus. Research indicates that some special evolutionary mutations can restore partial brain function, resulting in intelligent behavior with an IQ equivalent to a smart animal or a child of about 4 years old. Bai Fei Fei groaned in pain, coughing violently as tears streamed down her face. Mr. Jin couldn't contain his pity and spoke up worriedly. It seems she's in a lot of pain, Xiao Luo asked innocently. Can zombies feel pain? Xiaoling also looked confused and wondered, isn't she already dead? Countless questions swirled in the two children's minds. Xiao Luo scratched his head in confusion. Don't zombies only die when their heads are destroyed? Xiaoling recoiled, refuting everyone's assumptions. She's a good zombie. She doesn't bite people. And she even saved the boss. I don't want her to die. Mr. Jin observed Bai Fei Fei's injuries and sadly shook his head. But it looks like her spine is broken. Even for a zombie, if she can't move. Cao Xiaoliang clenched the candy wrapper in his hand, bowing his head in anguish and crying out, "She's like this because of me." He ran to embrace Bai Fei Fei, silently asking himself, what can I do to help her recover? Could the gene pill work? The system immediately reminded him, this function is only effective on humans. Healing other creatures requires the host to complete a mission in exchange for a special item. Cao Xiaoliang didn't hesitate for a moment, and said decisively, fine, give me the mission. The system immediately accepted the command, searching for a new mission. Obtain 1 level 2 crystal core within 24 hours. A look of unprecedented determination flashed in Cao Xiaoliang's eyes. A level 2 crystal core is equivalent in value to 100 normal crystals and can only be found in evolved zombies or mutated creatures. He looked towards the giant octopus behind him and said resolutely, in other words, I just need to kill that thing. Lei Hong also quickly ran over to support his men. The whole group fired their guns wildly at the monster. However, with its enormous size and a hide as thick as a fortress wall, the octopus was nearly invulnerable. Dozens of long tentacles shielded its front, absorbing every single cannonball that flew towards it. Hu Dazhuang complained tiredly. This guy's too big. Our bullets can't even get through. A bald man aggressively shouldered a large gun and charged forward. Let me! He fired a massive cannonball that shot out like an arrow, aiming straight for the monster's head. The monster seemed to sense the danger. It immediately wrapped its numerous tentacles around its body, forming an impenetrable fortress. A small gap opened, revealing its blood-red eyes, which glinted with a cunning, sly look. The air grew tense. The suspense was suffocating. The cannonball flew straight at the octopus, and everyone expected it to explode, but it didn't. Dozens of long tentacles, swirling like ocean waves, wrapped tightly around the shell. The octopus curled up and stood perfectly still, as if challenging the entire world. The subordinate who had just fired the shot, thinking the foolish monster had been defeated, gloated and declared confidently, if it doesn't blow to smithereens this time, I'll eat my hat. Lei Hong, providing cover from behind, suddenly felt a sense of unease. With his extensive combat experience, he knew things couldn't be this simple. Anxiety welled up inside him, and he grew impatient. Why isn't there any movement? The two subordinates in front looked back at the weapons in their hands, utterly bewildered. No way. Is the cannon out of ammo? Suddenly, the octopus stirred slightly. It opened its crimson eyes, which burned like two hellfires, and looked down at the tiny humans at its feet, its gaze filled with triumph. Its tentacles slowly unfurled as thick black smoke, like ink, billowed out, obscuring the area. The monster slowly rose, using its tentacles as legs, standing tall like a mobile tower, immense and menacing. What was its goal? The black smoke gradually dissipated, revealing the cannonball held firmly in the octopus's giant mouth. The shell had been disarmed, clamped tightly like a useless toy. Hu Dazhuang witnessed the scene and roared in fury, loading another shell. The remaining underling was so terrified he stuttered and fell silent. Lei Hong stumbled forward, his eyes wide, his mouth agape as he shouted that it had actually sucked the shell in with its mouth. Surprise, sucker! The monster tauntingly held the cannon shell in its maw. Suddenly, its tentacles shot out, lunging forward like giant vacuum machines. 1, 2, then 3 tentacles slammed everyone into a corner. Lei Hong's group was scattered like dry leaves in a storm, thrown into a state of utter panic. The monster spat out a massive amount of hot, stinking green mucus that resembled lava. The slime gushed out in increasing amounts, sticking to anyone it touched like a glue trap. Lei Hong's men screamed in agony. The blonde-haired man was unlucky enough to get hit in the arm, which immediately burned as if on fire and began to rapidly decay. The bald man didn't escape either. His back was covered in the slime, which ate through his clothes. He screamed, "It hurts so much." Seeing his men injured, Lei Hong's heart filled with rage. He yelled a warning, "Get back! This liquid is corrosive!" Quick as a flash, Lei Hong found a large stone slab nearby and set it up as a shield, temporarily protecting the group from the monster's pursuit. The giant slab became their makeshift shelter. Lei Hong bravely held his ground, waiting for his men to reach him. A moment later, Hu Dazhuang and another man scrambled behind the slab, but the relentless monster continued to spew its toxic liquid toward their hiding spot. With extraordinary strength, Lei Hong lifted the slab onto his back and took heavy steps forward. Hu Dazhuang was so scared he clutched his head, cowering and trembling. Suddenly, a massive tentacle swung toward them, smashing hard against the stone slab. The monster struck it several more times, trying to break through their defense. Mucus dripped through the cracks as the pressure from the monster grew more intense. A foul stench filled the air, and smoke billowed from the corroding slab. Hu Dazhuang broke out in a cold sweat, telling his comrades in a panic, "The concrete is completely corroded. We can't hold out like this for long." Though trembling, Lei Hong held the slab firmly, trying to protect his team. He roared, furious with the monster and frustrated with his useless underlings. "Damn it, you guys have to back me up!" The monster's strength was truly beyond Lei Hong's capabilities. No matter how strong or resilient he was, it was only a matter of time before he was overwhelmed and crushed. Lei Hong trembled, his hands losing their grip. His legs grew weak, and he suddenly collapsed to his knees under the immense pressure. The giant slab couldn't hold any longer and was pierced by the monster's tentacle. A deafening boom echoed from above as the massive tentacle, towering like a pillar to the heavens, slammed down into the ground. One of Lei Hong's men was unfortunately caught by the tentacle and dragged high into the air. The monster tightened its grip on its prey, aiming for the hole in the ceiling to deliver a finishing blow. The underlings screamed in terror, "Boss, save me!" Although Lei Hong couldn't let go of the slab, his heart was filled with anxiety and fear. Watching the monster, he sighed helplessly. "Son of a B times, ch." With no other choice, Lei Hong resolved to save his comrade. Once again, he gathered all his strength, his power flaring up like a raging inferno. Facing the terrifying pressure from the monster, Lei Hong roared, channeling his inner energy to lift the massive stone slab and hurl it straight at the enemy, shouting, "Let him go!" The slab shot forward like a meteor, and Lei Hong, quick as a flash, appeared before the octopus, ready to face it head-on. He broke through the monster's defenses, grabbed a tentacle, and furiously yelled, "I'm gonna tear you to shreds!" True to his word, Lei Hong placed his hands on its body, unleashing his oppressive aura. But after a struggle, he couldn't even scratch the monster's skin. He cursed under his breath. "Damn it, the slime is too slippery. I can't get a grip." Annoyed by Lei Hong's provocation, the octopus immediately swung a tentacle with great force, sending him flying. Lei Hong screamed in pain, "So this is what I get for touching you!" It wasn't over yet. The monster continued to spray toxic liquid from its tentacles like giant nozzles. Lei Hong nearly fainted, standing frozen like a statue with his jaw dropped and eyes wide inside his energy shield, but he couldn't hold on and began to free fall to the ground. Suddenly, a familiar figure appeared. Cao Xiao Liang, wearing a protective suit that covered his entire body, charged coldly toward the octopus. While it was distracted, he ran along a tentacle, approaching from behind. Cao Xiaoliang's eyes glowed with a deep blue light as a terrifying power coursed through his body. Despite the countless waves of toxic mucus, he gracefully dodged every single one. Lei Hong's men slowly got to their feet, staring in astonishment. "That's the kid up there. How is he unharmed?" A question rang out. "Is that a special ability?" Lei Hong, having just landed safely, couldn't believe his eyes either. "Impossible. There's no fluctuation of power coming from him." He suddenly remembered something and shouted, "Could it be that he's actually a monster?" Thinking Cao Xiaoliang would be an easy target, it repeatedly attacked with its giant tentacles, but he simply dodged every blow, weaving left and right in what looked like a perfect dance. The monster could barely touch him. Cao Xiaoliang leaped high into the air, aiming for the tentacle in front of him. Using his power, he moved like a flash of lightning, pulling off a vanishing move straight out of an action movie. In a single second, he disappeared without a trace. A chilling aura washed over the area. Cao Xiaoliang, tightly gripping the Hatefire dagger, charged straight for the monster's underside, aiming for the cannon shell stuck in its mouth. He yelled, "This is it." With no regard for his own life, Cao Xiaoliang plunged the dagger hard into the shell in a do-or-die attack. It was only then that everyone realized Cao Xiaoliang was the chosen one. The knife's impact ignited the shell, which immediately sparked violently and successfully detonated. A deafening explosion rang out as flames erupted, engulfing the monster's body. An earth-shattering blast blew it to pieces. The fire grew larger and larger, black smoke filled the sky, and pieces of the monster's corpse rained down in a bloody mess. The remains of the octopus lay motionless, burned by the flames into a grilled octopus. Its blood pooled everywhere, and a strong, fishy stench filled the air. As the black smoke cleared, Cao took off his protective suit, smiling with satisfaction. This raincoat works pretty well. He was pleased with his treasure. It even perfectly shielded him from the explosion's shockwave. High-tech stuff is really something else. He called out to the system, "Hey buddy, can you give me a few more next time?" The system chuckled at the silly request and replied, "Rewards are all drawn randomly, but as long as the host performs well, there will be plenty of opportunities." Kao suddenly remembered his main mission now that the monster was defeated. He immediately started rummaging through the pile of rotten flesh. Beneath a layer of slime, he picked up an object emitting a warm golden light. "This is exactly what I need." Overjoyed, he exclaimed, "Found it!" A level 2 core. The system announced, "Congratulations to the host for completing the mission. You've received a level 2 core and a healing candy as a reward. It provides instant healing with unlimited uses. And a bonus, Apocalypse Cooking Guide." Kao looked at the book and asked, bewildered, "What's a cooking guide good for?" The system explained, "In the apocalypse, there are many mutated creatures and plants. As long as the virus-infected parts are removed, they are edible. But ordinary people don't know this and don't dare to eat them. This book details their anatomy and preparation methods, an essential item for anyone who wants to open a gourmet restaurant in the apocalypse." Hearing this, Kao's annoyance faded, and he happily accepted the reward, thinking it was a pretty good item after all, and stored it away. But the most important thing was to save someone. He hurried over to the weakened Bai Fifi, gently lifted her head, and fed her the core he had just obtained. Bai Fifi grimaced, struggling to swallow the medicine, looking uncomfortable. But just a few seconds later, her eyes shot open, staring at Kao. Her previously frail body was now completely healed. She happily stood up, stretching and moving her limbs with confidence. Xiao Ling, standing nearby, cheered excitedly. "That's awesome! Big Sis is alive again." Ai Qin watched the scene, feeling uneasy. She gulped, thinking to herself that this guy took down the mutated octopus all by himself. The more she thought about it, the less she understood. Just a moment ago, he was terrified, and in the blink of an eye, he was like a different person. Could he have been hiding his strength? After moving around for a bit, Bai Fifi looked up at Kao, pointed to her mouth, and made a few cute ah sounds, as if she was waiting for something. Seeing Bai Fifi's naive actions, Kao suddenly got annoyed, his voice full of frustration. "Are you hungry? Are you really that addicted to the game?" Hearing this, Xiao Ling ran over excitedly, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. "What game?" "Xiao Ling wants to play too." Ai Qin stood there watching Kao, thinking to herself that this guy didn't seem trustworthy at all. Kao had no choice but to repeat the old game. He clutched the bag of candy just like last time, and when Bai Fifi wasn't looking, he dashed forward, tossing the candies behind him for her to chase and pick up. Xiao Ling beamed, clapping and cheering as if watching a fun performance. Seeing the three of them playing around, Ai Qin couldn't help but smile, thinking to herself that this guy, Long Ye, wasn't so bad after all. Maybe he's trustworthy. Xiao Luo remained wary, sneaking up behind Xiao Ling and whispering, "Hey sis, stay away from her a bit." He looked at Bai Fifi with suspicion in his eyes. "She's a zombie, you know. Are you sure she won't bite people? Bai Fifi suddenly turned to stare at the two siblings, her eyes filled with affection, especially for the chubby Xiao Ling. She smiled, trying to show her fondness for the little girl. Xiao Ling stood frozen, looking nervously at Bai Fifi, with some candy crumbs still on her cheek. Bai Fifi excitedly lunged forward and licked the crumbs clean off Xiao Ling's cheek. The little girl burst out laughing, because it tickled so much. After she was done, Bai Fifi licked her lips and looked at Xiao Luo with a hungry expression that scared the daylights out of him. She spread her arms and rushed toward him. The color drained from Xiao Luo's face, and he turned and ran, yelling, "You monster! You're scaring me to death! I'm a boy, have you no shame?" Xiao Ling giggled behind him. Big brother is blushing. Lei Hong suddenly shouted, striding quickly toward Cao, his voice filled with anxiety. "If you can even cure a zombie, you can definitely save my men, right?" Kao looked at Hu Dazhuang and the bald guy groaning in pain on the ground, clutching their bloody arms poisoned by the octopus's venom. Another man was already unconscious. He examined the wound on Hu Dazhuang's arm. It looked extremely serious. The flesh was rotting away, even exposing the bone as if it had been corroded by acid. His internal organs were probably severely damaged, too. A large hole in Hu Dazhuang's arm revealed the bone within, and the wound was horribly infected. Lei Hong nodded, his voice urgent. "I can see all that. Just hurry up and heal them." Cao shot Lei Hong an annoyed glance. "Are you ordering me around? You've got some nerve." He shot up to his feet, crossing his arms reproachfully. "You hit me so hard earlier. Why should I help you?" Lei Hong didn't beat around the bush. He understood what Cao wanted and made a direct offer. "How many cores do you want? Just name your price." At the mention of cores, Cao's eyes lit up, and his attitude changed instantly, a cunning smile spreading across his face. "Well then, I won't be polite." Suddenly, a hand landed on Cao's shoulder, startling him. Ai Qin coldly threw him aside, his pathetic scream echoing through the area. Ai Qin roared at Lei Hong. "How? It's useless. He's not going to heal them." Xiao Ling and Xiao Luo chimed in. "That's right. You're bandits, demons, and murderers." Lei Hong replied tiredly. "I've already said, we may be bandits, but we have principles. We don't kill those who can't fight back." He narrowed his eyes, shaking his head. "If your mother was really killed by one of my men, then she definitely wasn't a good person." Xiao Ling and Xiao Luo immediately flew into a rage, retorting, "Nonsense! Our mother was a good person. You're the bad guys." Mr. Qin held the two kids' hands and scolded Lei Hong. "Stop making excuses. You're just saying that so he'll treat your men, and then you'll kill us, right? We're not that easily fooled." Cao Xiao Liang slowly walked over, cutting into their argument. Actually, what he's saying might be true. Mr. Qin, Xiao Ling, and Xiao Luo were stunned, shouting in unison, "What?" Cao Xiao Liang gently held out a tattered red headband, asking Xiao Luo, "Didn't this fall out of your pocket?" Xiao Luo saw it and immediately shouted excitedly, "Yes, that's the symbol of that group. I always carry it to remind myself, never to forget what they look like." He remembered his mother's killer, a one-eyed, middle-aged man wearing a red headband, who looked very similar to Lei Hong. Cao Xiao Liang then presented a dagger he had found. "This is their dagger, isn't it?" They compared the evidence. The symbols on the headband and the dagger were nearly identical but mirrored. Mr. Qin took the dagger for a closer look and noticed a few other distinct details. Xiao Luo said disappointedly, "This one looks way more fashionable." Xiao Ling judged the symbol on their headband. "Compared to theirs, this looks like an elementary school student drew it." Lei Hong, standing to the side, overheard them judging his group's logo and turned red with anger. "Huh? What do you mean it's simple? This is called a powerful and free-spirited style. If you don't understand, don't just run your mouths." Cao Xiao Liang hid and tried to mediate. "I've encountered plenty of gangs who use another's name to plunder and create enemies." He looked at Mr. Qin. "The group you ran into was definitely an imposter." Mr. Qin, Xiao Luo, and Xiao Ling were stunned, asking in unison, "Imposters?" Lei Hong finally pieced everything together. He looked sympathetic but couldn't hide his own resentment. "No wonder we've been attacked unexpectedly a few times, as if they had a deep-seated hatred for us. So a third party has been causing trouble." Xiao Luo cursed in anger. "Those people were so easily manipulated, damn it!" So they weren't the Jinglei Corps at all. Those damn frauds. Xiao Ling looked up sadly at her brother, her voice filled with anguish. "So who do we get our revenge on now?" The two children looked truly pitiful, their eyes holding the pain of their mother's death. Mr. Qin bent down, looking gently at the two kids, trying to console them and soothe some of their pain. "Revenge is not a burden you have to bear. More than that, your mother would definitely want you to live healthy and happy lives." Xiao Luo and Xiao Ling silently looked at Mr. Qin, their eyes still filled with sorrow. Just then, Hu Dazhuang, his body covered in white bandages, angrily stomped over, roaring, "Those bastards dared to ruin our reputation. If I get my hands on them, I'll dice them into 100 pieces." Suddenly, Hu Dazhuang coughed up blood. his fury having clearly reopened his wounds. Lei Hong panicked, his eyes widening as he watched his dear subordinate suffer. He quickly helped him up and turned to Cao Xiao Liang, pleading, "Now that everything's clear, can you please heal my men? They'll die if we wait any longer." Cao Xiao Liang nodded, but didn't forget to state his price. "I can do it. 10 crystal cores per person. A real bargain." Lei Hong instantly agreed, handing over a bag of cores. "No problem. Here's the payment up front," Cao Xiaoliang cheerfully instructed. "Please step aside. This will only take a moment." On his precious cart, several eggs were completely smashed, with golden yolks oozing all over. Cao Xiaoliang stared at the mess, heartbroken, as if he had lost a precious treasure. All these delicious eggs are ruined. He remembered the intense fight with the Jing Lei Corps. Looking sheepishly at Lei Hong, he laughed awkwardly. "Well, something happened. How about I just give you the crystal cores back?" Hearing that, Lei Hong's eyes blazed with anger and he roared, "Are you messing with me?" Cao Xiaoliang scratched his head, smiling sheepishly, and quickly pushed his cart away. "How could I? I just thought the mood was a little tense, so I made a little joke." Inwardly, he was swallowing his tears, thinking in anguish, "Even my eggs are gone. What will I use to make egg biscuits now?" No good deed goes unpunished. Not letting his emotions overwhelm him, Cao Xiaoliang took out the cookbook he'd just gotten and flipped through it. His eyes lit up like he'd struck gold when he found the perfect recipe. "Hold on, I need to save them first." He laughed smugly, closing the book. "Perfect!" The ingredients he had available were just flour, noodles, oil, and a few spices. After racking his brain for a while, he shouted, "I've got it!" He ran over to the octopus carcass, picked out the choicest cut of meat, and hauled it away. He carefully removed the outer membrane and suction cups, keeping only the clean flesh. Next, he seasoned the meat to get rid of the fishy smell and rinsed it clean. The pure white flesh was slowly revealed, and then diced it and mixed it with flour to make a batter. He stirred and stirred and stirred until the fragrant octopus batter was ready. He poured small portions of the mixture onto a sizzling hot pan, which sizzled and steamed. He flipped them until they were golden brown, then added some tomatoes and dressing. The octopus cakes were plated beautifully, like a work of art. For the soul of the dish, he used finely mashed potatoes as a substitute. Ta-da! The hot and delicious octopus cakes were fresh off the griddle. Cao Xiaoliang proudly declared, "It is done. Glutton's family skill." He brought the food over to Lei Hong's men. "Eat all of this, and you'll recover right away." The bald guy and the blonde-haired guy screamed in terror. "You're making food out of a mutant octopus? What are you trying to pull? You want us to eat this? You must think we aren't dying fast enough." But Lei Hong was captivated by the aroma, sniffing greedily yet hesitantly. Could this thing really be eaten? Cao Xiaoliang shook his head wearily and explained, "Have you ever read a wuxia novel? Wherever there's a poisonous snake, there's bound to be an antidote within 5 steps. I've already taken the core, and I'm not giving it back. Eat it if you want." Hu Dazhuang, unable to bear the pain, stepped forward and sniffed the fragrant air. It smelled so good, but the pain was intense, so he decided to risk it. He popped the food into his mouth, thinking to himself that even if he died, he had to enjoy this first. Suddenly, Hu Dazhuang's body froze and began to transform. He was shocked. "What is this?" Then he clutched his stomach, coughing violently. The underlings shouted in panic, "Dazhuang! Lei Hong!" Worried, warned Cao Xiaoliang, "What did you do? If anything happens to my brother, I won't let you off." Before he could do anything, Bai Fifi dashed in front of Lei Hong. He backed away in fear, stammering, You stay away from me. This is bad." Hu Dazhuang covered his mouth, letting out a few strange groans, then burst with excitement. "This is so delicious." He ecstatically described the batter, soft as a cloud, and the octopus meat, chewy and fresh. Every bite felt like a spirit dancing on his tongue, a flavor like the powerful, living ocean crashing into his soul. He praised it effusively. "It's seriously out of this world, delicious." Hu Dazhuang's answer left the bald guy and the blonde guy stunned. "For real? That thing is actually good?" Lei Hong and his men immediately rushed to Cao Xiaoliang's food cart, scrambling to order. "Screw it, I'm eating too. Give me one. Calm down. There's enough for everyone." They savored the food, bursting with happiness. Cries rang out, "This is too good. I'm so happy, my good brother." The blonde guy quickly brought a piece of takoyaki to Ahu. "Ahu, you try some too." Ahu snatched it, chewing ravenously as if swallowing the very stars from the sky. He roared, his eyes sparkling, "My wound has healed, and the pain is gone. This is a miracle." He lifted his shirt to show off his ripped six-pack, and even his old scars had healed. Excited, Ahu ran to ask Cao Xiaoliang, "Is this also an effect of the octopus meat?" Cao Xiaoliang was stunned, not knowing how to answer Ahu. He forced a laugh. "I added some special seasoning to your portion. Consider it a special gift." But inwardly, he was worried. "Crap, this is a bug. My current power isn't enough to fight against special abilities. If this group finds out about the system, they might capture me, and exploit me to death. Cao Xiao Liang was lost in thought. Not noticing someone calling him, he suddenly flinched, dodging as if avoiding a ghost, and thought, have I been discovered? It turned out to be Lei Hong, who clapped him on the shoulder with a grateful look in his eyes. I didn't realize you were actually a pretty good guy. Cao Xiao Liang silently prayed, thankful that this guy was simple-minded, all brawn and no brain, and easy to fool. He laughed heartily. So, about that partnership we discussed earlier? Lei Hong nodded. I'll consider it. But his underlings immediately protested, shouting loudly, Boss, don't listen to him! Yeah, aren't we injured like this because of him? He should be held responsible for this. Cao Xiao Liang immediately retorted, you guys were robbing my stall. Am I not allowed to fight back? Lei Hong's group burst out laughing as if they'd heard a joke. The blonde guy offered a reason that was both logical and absurd. We're robbers. Seeing you with so much food, of course we had to rob you. Every profession has people who are passionate about their work. You get it? Ahu added, this is what you call professional ethics. Lei Hong laughed loudly, nodding in agreement. That's right. Cao Xiao Liang pointed towards Bai Fifi and asked, then what about that girl? Didn't you guys say you don't rob women and children? He ran over to Bai Fifi and preached, even if she's turned into a zombie, she's still a girl. You guys tied her up in a sack. What were you secretly planning to do? Lei Hong's men looked left and right, up and down, and said in unison, who did anything? We didn't even touch her. The bald guy said shyly, who told her to be so beautiful? We only did it for the boss. Cao Xiao Liang smirked, pleased with himself. The cat's out of the bag. So? What kind of weird fetish is this? Mister, Jin covered his mouth in horror. They won't even spare a zombie. That's disgusting. Xiao Luo covered Xiao Ling's ears. Don't listen. Hu Dazhuang looked at Lei Hong sheepishly. Boss, you. The underlings roared with laughter. Earlier, I saw the boss talking privately with someone. So it turns out. Lei Hong's face turned red as he yelled indignantly, this is an outrage. I'm innocent. How can I prove it? He shook his head frantically. This has nothing to do with me. Lei Hong glared angrily at the three smart Alecs and barked. What the hell is going on? Tell me, the blonde guy hesitantly confessed. You're all thinking the wrong thing. We came up with this and did it ourselves. Ahu put on a sorrowful expression, his eyes glistening. The boss gets shy whenever he sees a pretty girl. He's never even been in a relationship. We wanted to find a beautiful zombie for him to interact with, thinking it might cure his fear of women. The bald guy chimed in. We only meant well. An enraged Lei Hong rushed over and started pummeling the three of them. Good intentions, my foot. How could you come up with such a bizarre idea? Do you think I'm some kind of pervert? The blonde guy cried. I told you the boss wasn't that kind of person. We almost died for nothing, boss. Suddenly, the system interface appeared. Mission time has expired. Host, please hire an employee quickly to complete the mission. Cao Xiao Liang looked at the notification panel anxiously. That fast? Has it been 24 hours already? He wondered. If I've already hired the landlady as an employee, shouldn't the mission be complete? The system calmly announced some shocking news. It does not count yet. Hiring an employee requires a contract signed by both parties, and the employee must wear a special uniform for it to be valid. Cao Xiao Liang jumped up. An employee uniform? He imagined all 749 types of uniforms, a seductive maid, a sexy doctor, or even a naughty bunny girl. His nose nearly started bleeding from the sheer excitement. I thought, this could be the system's doing. As if reading my mind, it shot me a virtual side-eye. Host, please don't let your mind wander. We are a respectable system and do not distribute such outfits. Cao Xiao Liang smirked deviously, then turned to look at the maid outfit, which was far more modest than he'd imagined, making him feel utterly disappointed. He mumbled, it's just a standard uniform like this? I got my hopes up for nothing. He handed the uniform to Lord Qin with a pitiful look on his face, explaining that he'd forgotten to mention that employees here needed to wear clean, tidy, and easily recognizable outfits for customers. That's why the uniform was necessary. These 3 sets are for you. Lord Qin and Xiao Luo looked at the outfits, their faces contorting. Xiao Luo complained indignantly. Even kids like us have to wear these? This is so annoying. But Xiao Ling happily admired her new dress. She exclaimed excitedly, it's a new outfit, Cao Xiao Liang reminded them. Since you all have new clothes, you should change into them now. Without a care in the world, Lord Qin started lifting her top to change right there in broad daylight. Cao Xiao Liang hurriedly stopped her, pointing to a secluded corner and said sternly, there's no need to rush like that. It's crowded here. You can change inside. Lei Hong and his men just shook their heads and gulped. In unison, they thought, there's no need to worry about those details. Lord Qin ignored him and began to put on the white blouse. But due to her massive chest, she struggled inside. This outfit is way too tight. It doesn't even fit my chest. Do you have a bigger size? Witnessing such a titillating scene, Lei Hong's nose erupted in a fountain of blood before he passed out cold. His panicked men screamed, Boss! Our boss fainted! An enraged Cao Xiao Liang rushed forward. Cover Lord Qin! He yelled, then shouted, Show some self-respect! He closed his eyes and suddenly, a soft object fell onto his head. He looked up and saw something soft like a dumpling but shaped like a potato. Holding it, he curiously asked, "What is this?" He then took a peek at Lord Qin and was utterly stunned. "Oh my god, a brawny physique with a six-pack," he shrieked. "Are you messing with me? Talk about a plot twist." So he was a dude all along. Lord Qin took off the rest of his disguise and smiled at Cao Xiao Liang. Scared out of his wits, his limbs went weak as he stared in despair at the person in front of him, stammering, you. His dreams crashing down around him, he yelled, "You're a guy! Why would you dress in a way that makes everyone misunderstand?" Lord Qin burst out laughing and replied cheerfully, "Well, I never said I was a girl. Why are you so shocked?" The blonde-haired man was dumbfounded. "Is it a tactic to appear weak? To bait your enemies into a trap?" Ahu exclaimed in admiration. "That's next level." Lord Qin rubbed his head, looking both bashful and pleased. "Not really. It's just a personal preference." Xiao Luo, not particularly shocked, whispered to Xiao Ling, "Our boss calls this being a cross-dressing master." Xiao Ling nodded in agreement. The boss loves pretty dresses the most. He has a huge collection, but it's a pity we couldn't bring it with us. Cao Xiao Liang wept internally, lamenting, "Lord Qin, you damn scammer. My beautiful female employee, the sexy uniform, my dreams of an office romance, all gone, turned to dust." Hearing this, Lord Qin immediately understood and shot back. "So you really are a pervert. Who could possibly understand his pain?" The system suddenly started a countdown. "Host, please complete the mission promptly. Do you confirm hiring this individual?" Cao Xiaoliang's spirits lifted as he asked excitedly, "Is there another option for me?" A moment later, he was staring at the employment contract already drafted for Lord Qin. He reluctantly confirmed the hire, his face scrunched up in a grimace. Bai Feifei watched cheerfully from the side as he presented the contract to Lord Qin. "Please sign right here." Cao Xiao Liang, feeling stuck between a rock and a hard place, nearly dropped the document and had to look away. Lord Qin shot him a resentful glare. "What's with that face? If it wasn't for the food, who'd want to work for you anyway?" Cao Xiao Liang stared at the contract, sighing internally. "The system is forcing me to do this. Other main characters get a harem of beauties and rise to the top, while I'm stuck raising children with another man." Lord Qin quickly picked up the pen to sign, thinking things couldn't possibly get any more dramatic, when suddenly Bai Feifei shot forward like a blur. She snatched the contract with her mouth before Lord Qin could sign it and took off. Cao Xiaoliang and Lord Qin stared after her, dumbfounded, as he screamed, "Are you serious right now?" Despite their shock, Bai Feifei kept running with the paper firmly in her jaws. Cao Xiaoliang had to wrestle the contract out of Bai Feifei's little mouth, shouting, "This isn't food." The employment contract was now riddled with her teeth marks. Bai Feifei stood to the side, looking completely bewildered. Suddenly, the system confirmed the contract was finalized. A powerful aura of divine energy swirled around Bai Feifei. Her eyes began to glow, emitting a bizarre energy. In an instant, she transformed into a beautiful maid. She looked as stunning as a woman from a masterpiece painting. Cao Xiaoliang stood there, completely frozen, and lamented inwardly, "The heavens must be mocking me." He let out a heaven-piercing scream. "I don't want to work with a zombie." Sometime later, Lord Qin was still sore about what happened, chiding Cao Xiaoliang, "You clearly have no taste, choosing a zombie employee over a beauty like me." He then arrogantly laid out his terms. "However, in light of the contract termination fee, I'll let it slide." Cao Xiaoliang forced a smile, but inwardly he was falling apart. The contract was never signed. "What penalty fee are you talking about? You guys are totally shaking me down. If I don't compensate you, you're going to destroy my car." He glanced at the ruined building and sighed, "We can't stay here any longer." "What do you all plan to do now?" Lord Qin answered happily. "I've already talked to the people from the Jinglei Corps. They've agreed to let us travel with them." Xiao Luo and Xiao Ling hugged their little pillows, their faces glowing with joy. Xiao Luo grinned and bragged to Cao Xiao Liang. "Lei Hong said he's going to teach me how to fight and deal with guns. That way, I'll be able to protect our boss and my little sister." Cao Xiao Liang laughed. "That's good to hear." He thought to himself that even though they were bandits, they weren't bad people. With their protection, the two children would be much safer. Xiao Ling ran over and gently tugged on his sleeve, handing him a card with a picture of Bai Feifei on it. "Mister, that big sister dropped this while she was changing." Cao Xiaoliang looked at the card, saw the ID number and full name, and it finally clicked who she was. Her name is Bai Feifei, and this is her employee ID. He couldn't take his eyes off the card. Lei Hong handed Cao Xiaoliang a map, saying sincerely, "Kiddo, this is our temporary base. We won't be moving. If you run into any trouble, just come find me." Cao Xiaoliang looked at the map, surprised. "The law of the jungle is vast, and heaven's net catches all." He shook his head, impressed. "You guys really know how to pick a spot." Lei Hong laughed, clapping him on the shoulder, and said decisively, "So what if it's a prison? Nobody wanted to go in before, but now, there's no safer place. Lord Qin ran over excitedly, hugging Lei Hong tightly and saying, "That's right, Big Brother Lei is so smart. Can you give me a private room later?" Lei Hong's gynophobia flared up again, and the moment he saw Lord Qin, he ran for his life, yelling, "Stay away from me." He turned back and shouted, "Someone find him a set of men's clothes." Lord Qin shook his head. "I'm coming after you. I refuse. Freedom of dress, you get it? I just like wearing women's clothes." In the end, the whole group got in their vehicles and left. Xiao Ling and Xiao Luo looked at Cao Xiao Liang, waving goodbye with their clear voices. "Goodbye, big brother." The Thunderclap Legion waved enthusiastically. "Kiddo, don't let the zombies get you. We'll be back to visit." Cao Xiao Liang felt a warmth in his heart, smiling and waving goodbye to everyone. He looked at Bai Feifei's employee ID and breathed a sigh of relief. Even though he didn't know what the future held, he had to give it a try. He turned to look at Bai Feifei, hoping to say, "I'll be in your care," but then he froze. Where'd she go? Bai Feifei was right here, and now she had vanished without a trace. He looked around and found her climbing on his precious cargo cart, gnawing on something. He roared in anger, "That's not for eating!" The sound of chewing mixed with his curses echoed through the desolate city. As if teething, Bai Feifei bit down hard on the wooden bar of the cart. Cao Xiaoliang furiously ran over to pull her away. "I told you this isn't food. Spit it out now!" But Bai Feifei was stubborn, growling and biting down firmly on the wooden bar. Cao Xiaoliang pulled hard, and the cart's handle came off with the momentum, causing the whole cart to collapse into pieces. He stared in horror at the wreckage, not believing his eyes, and screamed, "Oh my God!" Bai Feifei, like a little kitten, sat obediently, gnawing on the handle while looking at him innocently. Cao Xiaoliang suddenly remembered, "Wait a minute, no one has used the resilience feature, so how did it break after just a few bites?" He quickly contacted the system. "System, I suspect this cart is a defective product. I request a new one." The system replied immediately, "Host, please be patient. I will request it from my superiors." But then it announced sadly, "The request has been denied." Cao Xiaoliang was indignant. On what grounds? The system explained, "According to the item description, the resilience feature only protects personnel and property from external attacks. It is not effective against people inside the store. Bai Feifei is an employee, so for the damages she caused, the host must bear the responsibility himself." Cao Xiaoliang roared in anger. "Why didn't you tell me something so important sooner?" He looked at Bai Feifei and sighed. "If I had known this earlier, I swear I would have chosen the cross-dressing master over this husky in human form." Heartbroken, he sat down and looked at the pile of wreckage, lamenting, "It's over. It's broken like this. How can I possibly fix it?" The system appeared, cheerfully consoling him. "Host, don't worry. You're only 100 points away from upgrading the store. Completing the mission will allow you to upgrade your items." Cao Xiaoliang was impatient and cut it off. "Then what are you waiting for? Hurry up and give me the mission!" A ding sound rang out, and the system announced a new mission. Collect 500 pounds of edible meat within 24 hours. Completion will be rewarded. Cao Xiaoliang pondered. 500 pounds in the apocalypse, even finding 5 pounds of fresh meat is difficult, let alone 500 pounds. But then his eyes lit up, and he slapped his hand in excitement. Wait a minute, he remembered a large chicken farm nearby. He flipped through a cookbook, researching mutant beasts, and learned that mutant chickens had low combat power. The virus was concentrated in the brain, internal organs, fat, and feet. If those parts were removed, the breast and thigh meat was delicious, rich in protein, and suitable for replenishing stamina. He became enthusiastic. "Well, you little chickens in the coop, your time is up." But a mutant rooster entered combat mode, its eyes glowing red as it let out a piercing crow. Cao Xiaoliang hid behind a rock, thinking to himself, "Mutant chickens are just bigger, not much different from regular chickens. The problem is their large numbers. I need to separate them and take them down one by one." He looked at Bai Feifei. It was time to put her to use. Cao Xiaoliang came up with a plan, making a whole series of gestures for Bai Feifei to understand. He asked, "Did she get it?" Bai Feifei nodded cheerfully. He ran to the middle of the chicken flock and commanded, "Xiao Bai, go!" Bai Feifei received the order, grabbed a wooden plank, and leaped into the air, but she completely forgot the plan and ran straight towards him. Cao Xiaoliang screamed, "Not that way, this way, this isn't a game!" The flock of chickens noticed the disturbance and turned in unison, their eyes blazing with killing intent as they charged towards Bai Feifei. Terrified, she bit down on the wooden plank, jumped up into the rafters, and looked down at the ferocious chickens. Cao Xiaoliang backed away in a panic. "I'm so dead." He ran for his life, as a gigantic rooster chased after him, targeting him like prey and pecking relentlessly. He yelled, "Oh my God, somebody save me." Its sharp beak nearly got his butt, and he screamed while running, "These claws are ridiculously sharp." One swipe could tear the floor up. The rooster quickly caught up. Ahead was a sturdy fence, a dead end. Cao Xiao Liang used all his strength, sprinting towards the fence, and was overjoyed to find a hole someone had already dug. I'm saved! He dove through the hole, escaping to safety. Cao Xiao Liang sat in the ditch, gasping for breath, his heart pounding. The roosters charged up to the fence, like a horde of crazed zombies, aggressively clawing at the iron barrier. They glared at him, their eyes full of hatred, frantically digging at the ground. Cao Xiaoliang held his breath and waited, then leaned back tiredly, thinking, thank God for this hole, otherwise I would have been pecked to death. Suddenly, a slimy liquid got on his hand. He was confused. What is this? It's so sticky and gooey, gross. Looking up, he was stunned to see eggshells scattered everywhere. Cao Xiaoliang grew suspicious. Why are there so many eggshells here? Then he tremblingly realized the problem. Crap, this is a mother hen's nesting ground. A massive shadow covered the pit like a spotlight. Cao Tiolun gulped, trembling as he looked up. A gigantic mother hen stood above, its eyes glowing blood red as it shot down like an arrow. Terrified out of his wits, he scrambled out of the nest. Oh boy, a full-grown mutant chicken, and the chase was on. Cao Tiolun ran for his life, screaming as he fled. To think I'd fall into a mother hen's nest! My luck is the absolute worst. Oh my God. He ran like his life depended on it, lamenting, why isn't my elasticity skill working right now? The hen pecked at him relentlessly, forcing him to clutch his butt and scream in pain. Ow, ow, ow! The hen circled him, observing him with a smug look that seemed to say, now you know how tough I am, don't you? Cao Tiolun was cornered. The fence from before was right behind him. He panted exhaustedly, thinking about the eggshells. Those chicks would definitely want revenge. The mother hen advanced, its razor-sharp beak aimed straight for his jewels. He bit his lip and screamed, you perverted chicken! Just as it lunged, Cao Tiolun twisted his body like a yoga master, cursing inwardly. Not my precious jewels. I haven't even used them once. He leaped up, hooking his legs around the hen's neck. Furious. How can I die in a place like this? Take this leg scissor. The man and the chicken got into a fierce brawl. Cao Tiolung's flexible body tightened around the chicken's neck. He grinned smugly. See how tough I am now? But the chicken lowered its head and opened its eyes in a rage. Cao Tiolung panicked. It wasn't dead. It flung him into the air. He screamed, oh, mama, please save me. Luckily, he landed on the chicken's back. It thrashed around wildly, almost making him puke his guts out. Oh my God, help me. After a good 49 spins, the chicken's neck snapped. It flung him off with its wing. Cao Tiolung quickly grabbed onto its tail, screaming in terror. Oh God, can someone please reattach this thing's head? This is horrifying. The scene shifts to a forest, where a military vehicle is rolling along slowly. From inside the vehicle, a voice comes over the radio. Squad 3, Squad 3, Squads 1 and 2 have reached HQ. What's your status? It turns out to be a group of soldiers communicating with their command post. The man on the radio replied worriedly, we're on our way back. If there are no surprises, we should arrive today. Everyone cheered happily. I heard those other 2 squads came back empty-handed this time. We found a ton of supplies. They're definitely going to be so jealous. Another guy scoffed. Serves them right for having a cowardly captain. He doesn't even dare to go too far out. Our captain Hoha Kochi is the smart one, thinking of storing food in a cellar. A young soldier said regretfully, it's a shame that entire village turned into zombies. No one survived. Anyway, making it back safely this time is worth celebrating. Suddenly, the vehicle was blocked by a wooden plank, and the wheel got stuck, bringing it to a halt. The guy in front shouted, we've got a problem. The whole group got out to look. The tire was flat. A bearded man inspected it worriedly. Looks like we've got a blowout. A blonde-haired junior member said cheerfully, Captain, you worry too much. We've been down this road so many times. If there were any zombies, we would have seen them by now. The young man from the front quickly reminded him, it's better to be careful. There are more and more types of mutants these days. Especially in a wide-open area like this, you can't avoid them all. We must always maintain high alert. Quachmin and Kotrun quickly started changing the tire while the others, along with Uncle Chu, kept watch. Quachmin was focused on installing the new wheel, muttering, seriously, there aren't that many zombies on a main road like this. His blonde-haired friend nodded happily. Yeah, even if we saw one, all I'd need is one bullet to take it down. Suddenly, a loud smack echoed out. Uncle Chu walked over and smacked each of them on the head. Cut the crap. You 2 have only been on a few missions and you already think zombies are that easy to deal with? Quachmin and Kotrun gave sheepish smiles and apologized in unison. Uncle Chu, we were wrong. Please don't be mad. We're just newbies. We don't know any better. Please look out for us. Uncle Chu sighed and took a drag from his cigarette, his voice serious. Of all the squads, our Squad 3 has always had the highest success rate and the lowest casualties. Do you know why? Quachmin and Kotrun shook their heads. Uncle Chu said proudly. It's because Captain Hoak is experienced and cautious. Fools like you would have died countless times if you were in any other squad. Joining our team is a blessing from your ancestors. Quachmin and Kotrin patted each other on the back, swallowing their pride and sucking up. So Captain Hoak is that amazing. We're so lucky. We'll definitely learn a lot from now on. The blonde-haired kid scratched his head shyly. Uncle Chu, I need to go take a leak. Uncle Chu grumbled. Stinky brat, you're such a pain in the ass.